Commissioners meeting on this Monday, November the 4th, 9:30. Thank each one of you for being here. Very happy to have each one of you here with us today. We're going to be led in the invocation this morning by Commissioner John Smith. And of course, just before he comes with invocation, today is a sad day for this Board of County Commissioners. Potentially, this is the last meeting for Vice Chair Brewer, Commissioner Johnson, and Commissioner John Smith. And even though I look forward to the three new ones coming onto this board, Halifax County is definitely going to be lacking when these three leave. You know, you cannot substitute experience, wisdom, and those type things, and that's what those three carry big time in a lot of ways. And they have been, not just been good commissioners, they have been excellent commissioners, all three of them. And they're going to be sorely missed. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to ask Commissioner John Smith with that distinctive voice to lead us in the invocation. And those of you who wish to join us, please stand.
Let us pray. Father, give us once again this morning that we come to the throne of grace. Come over us this master, thank you for how we watched you throughout the night last night and bless us to start another day's journey. As we find ourselves here this morning, dear God, to take benefits of this time. We pray to God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That all the things that we do and say, dear God, will be to your glory. Knowing that it's to your glory, dear God, and beneficial to these your people. So we thank you, dear God, for the opportunity you have given us to serve this kind of gracious master. We pray, dear God, that something we've done and been able to say, has helped to enhance the lives of these people of this kind of gracious master. We're praying, dear God, you continue to watch over us, bless us, and keep us. It's in the mighty name of Jesus that we pray and say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I trust the commissioners have had an opportunity to review the agenda. I will so entertain a motion for the adoption.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Next item is conflict of interest. In accordance with the Halifax County Board of Commissioners, Rules of Procedure in the North Carolina General Statute Section 153A-44 is the duty of every member of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners to vote on all matters coming before the board unless there is a conflict of interest as determined by the board or by law. Does any board member have a known conflict of interest with respect to matters coming before us today? Commissioner Smith.
For the last official time, no conflict, sir.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict or perceived conflict.
All right.
No conflict.
No conflict.
Wow. I tell you what, y'all in rare form today, aren't you? With that being said, Madam Clerk, let the record so reflect that six commissioners present do not have conflict with any matters coming before us today.
Yes, sir.
All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have three items under the consent agenda. Item A, budget amendments. Item B, property tax collection, refunds and releases, October 2024. And then item C, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting schedule. Any questions or comments in regards to the consent agenda? If not, I'll soon entertain a motion if that's your pleasure.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. All right, now we get into one of the most important things on this agenda, special recognitions. Item A is the proclamation honoring Native American Heritage Month. We're going to ask Mr. Tony Brown, who is a member of the Human Relations Committee, former county manager, come up and do that. And I see Dr. Craylor is here and Stephen Green, members of the Human Relations Committee. Certainly, we thank you all for being here. Also, I see individuals from the tribe, including the chief and others. See Mr. Richardson back there, and I think the vice chief and some others. Thank you all for being here as well. Mr. Brown. Are you lost for words?
You're on the left side of the podium.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak before this esteemed body. This side of the podium. It's been 3 years, almost, next month will be 3 years since I left that side of the grass. It's been a wonderful job and following my footsteps. It's all that it did.
No, you got giant footsteps, but go ahead.
I'm actually probably here under William County Tutor. I'm here, like you said, on behalf of the Human Relations Committee. And part of the role of that committee is to make sure, address harmony in the county and acknowledging when there are special events that are taking place and to acknowledge different celebrations for different ethnic groups or different challenges for individuals too. I'd like to have the Human Relations Committee members stand up and recognize Dr. Craylor as the chair of the committee. Also, I'd like to request your approval to both recognize our rich heritage here in Halifax and enlist your support in proclaiming a special part of our history. As some of you already know, I'm now working with the Halifax-Pony Indian tribe, of which I'm a descendant. The Halifax-Pony Indian tribe has been an important part of Halifax County's history, and I'm proud to stand before you to emphasize the special role this tribe has played in the rich Halifax people. I'd like to also recognize the tribal, not only the tribal council members, but members of the tribe who will also.
We do have the chief here as well. We have Chief Richardson here as well.
In fact, you would come up and join me. So if you would allow me, let me read the proclamation. And the chief, if I mispronounce any words, you can go from there. This is a proclamation honoring Native American Heritage Month. Whereas November is designated as Native American Heritage Month, a time to celebrate and honor the rich cultural traditions, histories, and contributions of Native Americans who have shaped our nation's identity and whose enduring legacies continue to enrich our communities. And whereas Halifax County, North Carolina proudly acknowledges the profound presence and cultural heritage of the Halifax-Pony tribe, our local Native American community. We have long called this land home, and whose ancestry traditions and Indian customs are deeply woven into the fabric of our county's history. And whereas we recognize Native Americans as the first people of this land, whose deep connection to the earth's stewardship of natural resources and wisdom in sustaining life living have greatly influenced our environmental practices and conservation efforts. Whereas Native Americans have contributed significantly to the fields of government, agriculture, medicine, arts, and culture with many modern-day innovations, such as the democratic principles that inspired the U.S. Constitution, rooted in native government structures like the Iroquois Confederacy and countless other contributions, including advancements in herbal medicine, farming techniques, and culinary traditions. And whereas the Halifax-Pony people have enriched Halifax County with their vibrant traditions, arts, knowledge, and values, fostering a spirit of unity, respect, and resilience that serves as an inspiration to all who live here. And whereas the County of Halifax recognizes the importance of understanding and acknowledging the unique and diverse experiences of Native Americans, both past and present.
to ensure they would honor their history, advocate for their rights, and support their continued contributions to our society. And whereas, during Native American Heritage Month, we encourage all citizens of Halifax County to learn about the Halifax tribe and other Native American communities to celebrate their rich cultural heritage and to reflect on the significant Indian contributions they have made and continue to make to our shared society. Now therefore be it resolved, the Halifax County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim November as Native American Heritage Month in Halifax County and encourages all residents to join in honoring the heritage, culture, and significant contributions of the Native American community, particularly the Halifax-Oconee Indian tribe, whose presence and influence remains a vital part of our county's history and future. Adopted this 4th day of November 2024. Signed, Chairman Vernon J. Bryant, and attested by Clerk of the Board, Lindsay H. Reed.
Okay, you've heard information coming from Mr. Brown. What is your pleasure?
If I may. In
Yes.
honor of our longest-serving chief, Chief W.R. Richardson, Chief Talking Eagle, also affectionately known by me as Uncle Robert, I would like to make a motion to accept this proclamation.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you all. Chief, you want to have brief remarks?
Thank you, Chairman Bryant. I am Olifri Richardson, Chief of the Halifax-Oconee Indian Tribe, and I want to say it is indeed an honor to be here this morning as the recipient of this proclamation put together by the Halifax County Commissioners in recognition of Indian Heritage Month. I want to thank everyone, the commissioners and all others who helped to put this document together. We will share this with our tribal citizens, and we will proudly display it in our tribal government office. So again, thank you. We really are appreciative of your action. Thank you.
Go ahead.
We'll see what you wanted to do.
Christina, do you mind taking a picture of Mr. Brown and the chief? And probably myself. Well, I'll tell you what, all the commissioners, let's go. Ms. Johnson, Mr. Smith, Ms. Brewer, this is your last go
I know y'all gotta get closer to that. We love each other. A lot of love in Halifax County. All right, do your pageant turn, everybody facing the center, make sure it slims everything up. That looks good. Oh, sorry, Captain. Do not let me step on Captain. Let's see, tie's good, everything, yep, looking good. All right, we'll take a couple. 1, 2, 3, smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more, we'll zoom in a little tighter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Great job.
Thank Commissioner Smith.
Yes, sir.
Whoever take your place on the end over there, tell them they got podium responsibility.
Yes, sir.
He's gonna have to teach,
That's right.
train.
All right, very good. Thank you all for that. Next item on the agenda, we're going to have a retirement resolution for Sylvia T. Jarrell. Department of Public Health. I'm going to ask Commissioner Johnson. I'm working the 3 today. Ms. Johnson, Ms. Johnson, yes, come on up. Ms. Johnson is also on the Public Health Board.
I sprained my ankles on those. How are you this morning? So it's good to see you. Good to see you. Is the director here? She's not here. Stay on this group. We're so sorry you're leaving. You want to change your mind? More money? We would like to share this resolution with you. It says, whereas Sylvia Teresa Gerald decided to retire as a general utility worker with the Halifax County Department of Public Health effective October 31st of the year 2024. And whereas she has spent 23 years with local government, Sylvia has always served in many positions of honor in the community and state, as well as being a dedicated public servant to the citizens of Halifax County. Now therefore be it resolved that on this day, Monday, November the 4th of the year 2024, the Halifax County Board of Commissioners did honor Sylvia T. Gerald with formal adoption of this resolution to be recorded in the minutes of the meeting of this day. Signed by our Chairman, Vernon Bryant, and the clerk to the board as a resolution. I move that this resolution become a part of the record.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Can we do a quick photo? No. That's good. Y'all are sitting.
She's on my team.
Oh, Lord.
Well, that looks good. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that our chairman is going to say that there are lots of committees that to be a part of. So consider that. Even though I gave you your salary, I thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Ms. Gerald, thank you for your service to Halifax County. And Ms. Johnson's already warned you about what I was going to say about the boards and commissions. And we got plenty of them, 40 or 50. And so any particular one you're interested in, just let us know. But do thank you sincerely for all your hard work and service to Halifax County. At this time, we're going to move to item C, another retirement resolution honoring, I know this lady very well, Frances P. King, Department of Social Services, and Commissioner Linda Brewer. When I asked her to do that, she was so honored and smile went to her face. Ms. King, will you come up?
I am honored. For about 25 years, my job, my job with Social Security started every Monday at DSS. Every Monday of my life I spent in this county and other counties on other days of the month. I am very appreciative of all our county employees. Everybody is important, everybody. But these folks at DSS see things that we only hear about.
That's right.
So I have a real respect for the abilities that you put forward every day. And I don't know who Francis is, but I do know who Frankie is. Whereas Frances P. King decided to retire as a social worker 3 with Halifax County Department of Social Services effective 31st of the year 2024. And whereas she has spent 20 years with local government, Frances has also served in many positions of honor in the community and state, as well as being a dedicated public servant to the citizens of Halifax County. Now therefore be it resolved that on this day, Monday, November 4th of the year 2024, the Halifax County Board of Commissioners did honor Frances P. King with a formal adoption of this resolution to be recorded in the minutes of the meeting of this day, signed by Vernon J. Bryant, Chairman of the County Commissioners, and attested by Andrea Wiggins, Clerk to the Board. And Mr. Chair, I move that this be entered into the minutes of this meeting.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
I want you to wear this pin proudly. I have to find the back every week I look for mine. And we do thank you, Frankie, for your service. You're a retiree? Yeah. I got one that doesn't say retiree. But we might get them to say it.
I'm going to ask the director to come up too. Felicia Exum, Director of DSS.
Thank you.
Get out of the way.
People thought for years I worked for DSS, and I said, whew, I have to get combat pay.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very nice, thank you.
And we do have 69 committees, if you'd like to. Congratulations.
You know, I could say a lot about Frankie King, and I'm like, Miss Brewer, I don't know who this Francis is, but anyway. But, you know, she does a lot for our community. She's on the 250th Celebration Committee and just on so many other boards. Boy, it goes on and on and on. I mean, she's a workhorse. And but Ms. King, thank you for all that you do, and I appreciate your service to Halifax County too. And by the way, I don't want to tell you about so many boards because you're on enough of them. But if you want to join a few others, you're certainly welcome to do so. Okay, at this time, we're going to have a resolution supporting Operation Greenlight for our veterans, which is very, very important. We're going to have our DSS Director, Felicia Exum, to come up, please. And she's also accompanied by our Veterans Director.
Chairman, you see how she made us look bad, Chairman?
Yes, sir.
We struggling with that thing.
I was about to hurt myself with it. She pushed it with ease.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
I come before you today as the DSS Director with your Veteran Services Officer, Ms. Shelley Whitney, asking your support in supporting Operation Greenlight for veterans. Before I read the resolution, as most know, most of what we do at DSS is driven by data. So I did want to share with you all what your Veteran Services Officer has done in the last year. She is the only certified Veteran Services Officer for Halifax County. And in the fiscal year 2023, $53.5 million in benefits were issued to veterans in Halifax County. This was a $2.1 million increase from the previous year. And since being at DSS for one full year, we have assumed additional 80 veterans as part of Halifax County Services. She is currently serving 3,000 veterans and serving over 5,000 dependents through those veterans. The resolution supporting Operation Greenlight for veterans. Whereas the residents of Halifax County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Halifax County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price of freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veteran of foreign wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans. And whereas Halifax County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific now, therefore, be it resolved, with the designation as a green light for Veterans County, that Halifax County hereby declares from November 4th, 2024 through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2024, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Halifax County encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window of their place of business or residence from November 4th through 11th, 2024. And that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners this 4th day of November, 2024.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Exum. Appreciate you reading that. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? If not, I'll soon entertain a motion for your approval.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? I tell you what, that's just a great event. You wearing your green today, I see too. Thank you all so much. Appreciate all that you do. Just before we move to the next item on the agenda, I want to do 2 or 3 things. First of all, I'm going to ask Mr. Michael Pittman, who is the Restart Director, to please stand. And he's got some folks with him, and I want them to stand as well.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We would like for the young people to stand up on the empowerment zone, Halifax County School System. Please stand.
Let's give them a big hand. Now, many of y'all may not know this, but that young man, Michael Pittman, I got him about a few years, but he's been around a while, and Michael has done tremendous work with our youth in the community, and he has been observed at the state level many times. And Michael, thank you for all your hard work. Young people, thank you all for being here, and make sure you follow his lead because he's going to lead you in the right direction. Okay.
Mr. Bryan.
Yes, sir.
This is Shirley Arrington.
Okay.
Responsible there.
Okay.
And their senior advisor is, the reason they came today, I know they came to say thank you to the commissioners, also to Ms. Carolyn Johnson. These are students from the county school system that you should know.
Okay. Very good. And Madam Principal, and all, we appreciate you all coming as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Also, I want to recognize a friend of mine, Mr. Gideon Lee, who is the chair of the tribe in Hollister. Please stand, Mr. Lee. Thank you for being here. He walked in a little bit after the presentation, and now I want to recognize all the elected officials. Sitting beside Mr. Lee, he's going to take Ms. Johnson's place, and he won't be able to tiptoe out in the near future. And that's Mr. Jimmy Silver. I want to recognize Ophelia Gould-Faison. Where did I see you at, Ophelia? She's in the back. She's a Middletown Commissioner. And sitting beside her, Ms. Joyce Lashley, Halifax County School Board. And have I omitted any elected officials? Okay, all right. I see Ms. Faison sitting back there beside the first African-American president of Halifax Community College, Irvin Griffin. He's also chair of the Board of Elections. That's important. Yes, right. Raise your hand, Dr. Griffin.
Yes. Yeah, we good.
Yeah, now that's important. By the way, whatever you vote, you know his name is at the bottom. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll say just 2 quick things.
Yes, sir.
In regards to the veterans, I would like to invite all of you down, all the veterans down on Thursday morning from 9 until 11. We're having a drive-through breakfast for the veterans at the Halifax State and Palmer's Hattie Palmer State Senior Center there in Scotland Neck. And certainly we would welcome you all to come through and pick up your drive-through breakfast bag. And also, I see one of the young ladies, Mr. Pittman has with him. She's a young lady from Scotland Neck that I know very well, and glad to see her.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Miss Johnson. One son.
All right.
Not anything, I'm obedient.
You got to run, you got to run with it.
Not very You know what? Just wait a minute. Miss Johnson, you got a pretty suit on today, by the way. Wow, you look mighty nice. But you always look nice. You dress very nice. Well, what can I say about this icon of this book? My God, this lady has done everything. And, you know, Miss Johnson is, of course, you know, she's the former superintendent, first woman chair of this board. You can stay there, Miss Johnson. All you got to do is look at this picture. You know, this picture is reserved for all the chairs. Her picture's the only female up there. And every time we have, when the Chamber of Commerce bring in the kids during the education week in February, I always point that out, don't Miss Johnson? And because, you know, you need to know your history. And, you know, and I can talk about her husband, Horace, about the history of Halifax County. And Mr. Mills don't come out, he was a part of that. But if it wasn't for her husband, she nor I, nor any of these folks, many of them sitting up here, Shanoa Davis, John Smith, Samuel Webb, you know, we probably would be sitting up here. You know, if it wasn't for Horace Johnson and G.K. Butterfield. You know, they filed a lawsuit against the Halifax County Board of Commissioners. And I'm not going to get all the details back, because most of you know about it anyway. But that was good as far as Horace Johnson is concerned. But Carolyn Johnson has done some things too. And, you know, she's made a difference in this community. And I tell you something, when Carolyn Johnson speaks at this board level or anywhere, and Johnson's laughing because you know what I'm saying, folks listen. You know, I mean, you can't hear a pin drop.
Amen.
Because she's just not to be taught to be jawbone. She will know exactly what she's talking about. She's a smart lady. I know she don't want to hear all these things I'm saying. I can tell she don't, but that's all right. I'm going to talk today. But she's a smart lady. I mean, she's incredible. And, you know, and I tell her and Miss Brewer, that's exactly what I'm going to miss from the two of them more than anything else in this book. We're asking questions about things. She and Linda Brewer would go down deep and find something that none of the rest of us have thought about. And they'll ask you. And, I mean, two incredible smart ladies on this board. They really are. And they're going to be truly miss y'all. John is too. You know, but Miss Johnson, you know, the kids are here from Halifax County School. That's evidence of what she's done in this community. And I'm just so proud of Miss Johnson today to serve with her. I used to sit beside her when I first got elected to the board, not knowing what I was doing, and would lean up and ask her, and she would give me good guidance and direction. I mean, every time. She's just a wonderful lady. And I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to go ahead and read this resolution of appreciation. Miss Johnson, you know that this is your second family. You know that. And, you know, we're going to miss you so much. But guess what? I got your cell number and I got your home number. And you know where I live. That's right. I know where you live. Exactly right. Resolution of appreciation for the services rendered by Honorable Carolyn C. Johnson, Halifax County Commissioner, Halifax, North Carolina. Whereas Carolyn C. Johnson continued the legacy of her husband, Horace Johnson Sr., and was elected to serve on the Halifax County Board of Commissioners. Whereas Carolyn C. Johnson was sworn in December 6, 2004, and was elected by her fellow commissioners to serve as vice chairwoman in the absence of the chairman. Ms. Johnson was unanimously elected to serve as acting chairwoman and served honorably from January 3rd, 2005 to January 8, 2007. Whereas in honor of her service as acting chairwoman, Carol Johnson is the first and only woman to have her portrait unveiled and proudly displayed in Halifax County Board of Commissioners meeting room, which makes her a Halifax County trailblazer and exemplifies her outstanding leadership, strong dedication, and superior commitment to the government of Halifax County. Ms. Johnson has represented the citizens of Halifax County in the most efficient and exemplary manner while serving on the Halifax County Health Board, Halifax County Council on Aging, Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, Northern Regional Advisory Board, Halifax County Recreational Partners Program, and the Halifax County Hunting and Fishing Committee. Wow, you serve on a lot of committees. That was Whereas during her service as an elected official, Ms. Johnson demonstrated wisdom, creativity, and community spirit, all tempered with exceptional common sense and engaging personality, which gained the admiration and respect of her fellow commissioners and the citizens of Halifax County. Whereas Ms. Johnson was involved in many decisions affecting the character of the community, each time exhibiting sound judgment and concern for health, safety, and welfare of its citizens, thus enhancing county services and improving Halifax County's unique quality of life. Now therefore let it be resolved that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners does hereby thank and express its sincere appreciation for the outstanding service that Colonel C. Johnson has rendered to Halifax County, to extend to Mrs. Johnson its best wishes for success, happiness, and prosperity to her future endeavors. Be it therefore resolved that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of a grateful community, do hereby proclaim November 4th, 2024 as the Carolyn C. Johnson Day in Halifax County. And you can clap. And that the original of this resolution be presented to Carolyn Johnson, and that the copy of this resolution be printed upon the minutes of Halifax County Board of Commissioners the 4th day of November 2024. And Ms. Johnson, guess who has not signed this thing? Oh. Because it's not supposed to. All the commissioners have signed it, and then it's attested by Andrew Wiggins. And I so move that this resolution of appreciation be accepted.
Mr. Chairman, honorably.
Sorry.
You will fight over it.
No, Mr. Smith can have it.
Mr. Chairman, with honor, I second that motion.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Bryant, second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, hold on, Ms. Johnson, you stand right there. You can't talk yet. I'm gonna put this over here for a minute. I'm gonna ask the county manager and any of her staff, they will come down.
Mr. Smith's got the job.
Poor podium. Luckily it has wheels.
The person pushing. It's lucky it has wheels.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. I have dreaded this day. I have. Because it's the last meeting with all three of you. I'm trying not to be emotional. But we're really going to miss you and you and me. I just can't thank you for the trust you put in me and the staff to allow us to do our jobs. And Mr. Silver, you have good shoes to fill. You have a true servant's heart, and we appreciate that so much. And we also know to be prepared for questions. When we come you will ask them, and they're good questions.
Always.
And we have to be prepared to know our information. With that said, I told Ms. Brewer this last night. This will be the least fashionable thing in your place. But we have a lovely Halifax County jacket for you to wear with pride as you're out and about in the community. But we think they're pretty nice. Some of us are waiting on our turn to get these too. But we hope that you will enjoy this. And this is from the county staff. Thank you so much. Thank you. we have one more gift. But most of you don't know, Ms. Johnson's the only commissioner that was here when I came. We go back a long way. We go back a long way. Pre-children for me. We've been through a lot together. But as you enjoy some of your downtime after leaving this, because we ask a lot of you, all of you, we hope that you'll enjoy this photo to remind you of all the beauty in this county. And for those of you who can't see, it really showcases a lot of our landmarks and the things that we're really proud of. So this is also for you from the county.
Thank you.
So we hope you'll enjoy it.
Ms.
That's all for me.
Okay, Ms. Johnson, let Christina take her jacket and put it over by her stuff. And also, just before you get ready to talk, Ms. Johnson, I want to hear from your colleagues around the board here, see what they have to say. We're going to start with Attorney Webb.
I'm ready.
He's the, wait a minute, now let me give you an introduction. He's the Reverend Attorney and Commissioner.
All right.
Okay?
I've been sitting beside Mrs. Johnson for a while. But let me tell y'all something. We talk about national politics, church, religion, Northwest High School, and our families. So it's more than just business when we're sitting here. And let me tell you something. She is very, very knowledgeable. And I have learned so much from Ms. Johnson in this short time that I have sat beside her. And I thank you so much.
We hate to leave you in somebody else's care.
I have to keep that crowd there straight all the time, y'all. They into it.
Yes.
All three of them.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Brewer?
I don't know who's going to ask the questions. The Philadelphia lawyer?
That's right.
Or this one with
That's
all the
right.
titles, all of the above?
That's right.
I told some of the staff, I'm sorry about my throat, told some of the staff today, I never wanted to be here. Most of you all that know
That's
me
right.
know that. I did not come looking a job. But I'm so grateful for the relationships, for the people who have worked, especially for this lady that I trust with my life. It has been a wonderful experience. She is truly a servant leader. And I'm going to try to get this out. I couldn't get it out at 9. I'll try. And I just really stumbled on what I tried to say that day. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And I have truly been with one of the other best people
That's
I've ever
right.
known. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well put.
All right.
Okay, is our favorite county attorney.
Ms. Johnson, what I wanted to say to you has already been said, is that whenever I'm presenting something to this board, I can always count on a question or questions from you that are right on point, and often things we haven't thought about. And I'm not just saying that because, as you know, the management team meets every Monday morning when we're preparing for things ahead, and particularly board meetings. And we often talk about you.
In a good way.
And what usually comes up is the question, what is Ms. Johnson going to ask? And that's often how we prepare to present something
That's
to
right.
the board. And we know your desire for consensus, and we appreciate that, but we also know that you are one of the brightest and experienced and knowledgeable people I've ever had to work with, and it's been my sincere pleasure, and you are going to be missed.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know if Ms. Denton has anything else. I think she spoke hers out
No,
there.
I'm just trying to hold it together.
Okay. All right. We're going to hear from our clerk to the board. By the way, she was the one that prepared the framed document that we had a few minutes ago, Andrea Wiggins.
Miss Johnson, I am not going to cry, because this is a happy day for you. Might be a sad day for us. I remember when I started around 2006, and you were acting chairman. And I had to drive to the superintendent's office and get you to sign this document. And I remember Tony Brown saying, that's where you got to go to take the documents for her to sign from the meeting. When I was a little nervous, but the person I met behind that desk, the person that sits in that chair, is a phenomenal human being. One of the kindest I've ever met. Smart, very thorough. And Glenn is right, when we had our management team meetings, I got to play Miss Johnson. And I would always start off, well, as you look at it. and so I am going to miss you so much. You've done so much, not only for this board, but the entire community. Anytime anybody speaks of Carolyn Johnson, accolades, you have moved this board forward, and I have never met anybody like you, and I've served on several governing boards, city, county, and I appreciate you for all you've done and all that you're going to continue to do, because I know you're going to be busy in the community. But thank you forever.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
Ms. Johnson. Growing up at home, I saw you in our community. Never really got a chance to speak with you from that point, but then later on in life, I was able to work under you as a teacher in Halifax County. You were our superintendent. And even today, now I'm getting to work alongside you here on the board. I have tremendous respect for you, for your knowledge, your desire to do what's right, and keep everybody in line, your calmness, the way you approach your decision making, and your leadership roles. You hold it to a high esteem. That's very important to you. Since you all announced that you all were going to be retiring, I just sort of been trying like a sponge, trying to soak up all the knowledge and wisdom that you all have. And you all are going to be truly missed on this board, and I still owe you lunch. I got Ms. Brewer, but I still owe you lunch. But enjoy your retirement, and don't be a stranger to it.
Commissioner Smith?
Well, I've known of Miss Johnson for many, many, many years. My late aunt worked under her at Tillery Chapel, I believe it was, and Dawson, I believe. And I knew of her then. My late son, Marcel, was very fond of her. They served on the board together, and he used to tell me about some of the things they talked about and how they kind of cut up and all this kind of good stuff. And what you all are saying, you're late saying it, because I said to my church family on yesterday that this lady here would be honored today. And I'm sort of disappointed that I don't see but one of my church members, family members here, and that's Ms. Moore. Because I told them yesterday that we would be honoring one of the best county commissioners that Halifax County has ever had.
That's right.
I told them, I said, she gets hers on laptop or computer there, but I get mine in this notebook here, but I think we got the same information. But nevertheless, I read most of my information, but I don't come out with none of the questions that she can come up with. So I'm trying to figure out, have y'all been cheating me? This lady here can come up with some questions that never even crossed my mind. And I said, well, let me go back and look again to see if they did send me the same thing that she has. This lady can ask some questions, and when she asks questions, they are questions with foundation, questions that help enlighten all of us to make the decision that we make. Halifax County, you're losing a great commissioner. And I think we all ought to be thankful and grateful to her for the time that she served Halifax County, and she served it well. She said she followed her late husband, Mr. Horace Johnson. I knew him not like I know her, but since I've been on the board, I've gotten to know her quite a bit, quite much better, more so than I did him. But she has served well. And Ms. Johnson, I say for the entire county, we are deeply, deeply appreciative to you for the service you have given this county. And we pray God continue blessings upon you.
We're going to ask one more person who used to work for Halifax County to give a few words. Tony Brown, former county manager. We want to hear from you. He worked this late a long time.
I'm going to repeat what I said at my retirement. What I did, I had kind of a humorous gift for all the commissioners when I retired. And it's been 3 years ago, back at, I think the retirement
It was this month.
event was right about this time, like middle of November. One thing that I was very proud that I had to just come here was, and it was mentioned before regarding her late husband, Horace Johnson. And I'll say what I did. Part of what I gave to her as her gift was a crystal ball, because somebody's all knowing. They already have connection. Something went on. Because this was quite a new Carol Johnson. She and Horace were having a meal at Ruby Tuesday, and it just opened. Probably that was probably the first 6 months it was open. And I had not yet met Miss Johnson. When I was there, Mr. Johnson introduced us. And what was interesting in his introduction to her, he said to her, this is one of our rising stars. And he said, he's going to be county manager one day. And I'm like, crazy as and they know that. That was not my career goal to be county manager. My career goal was, I was in HR, and we wanted to do the HR ranks. In fact, I was working with HR with the Congress, and that's where I wanted to be. But Ms. Johnson has been, she was on the board. I think she was the only one here on the board when I was hired. She was the only one, so I have to thank her too. She was the one that got me no hair. But I thank her for that. You've done a wonderful job. You've been one of the bright spots, and one of the reasons that I have stayed here and enjoyed my job, because of the way you are and the fairness you portray. I've never once thought that she had any animosity towards staff or toward me, or had any ulterior motives. She was truly wanting to look out for the best for county citizens, and in fact also county employees, which was very important to us. But I want to make sure that I can reiterate that to you, that I appreciate not only what you've done, but what Horace did as well, because I think part of that that he had and passed on to you is what got me to be in the position as the first person of color in Halifax County for 15 years, almost 15 years in county manager. So I thank you for that.
Okay. Kathy, you said,
I would like to say something to Ms. Johnson, if I
Go
may,
ahead.
and it's not out of line.
Go ahead.
You know, from this side of the podium to you all, you can always count on Judge Manning to catch the typos in the presentation. But you would always ask the questions, and that was kind of the litmus test for trying to make your preparations. What will Ms. Johnson ask? Because she always did ask really good questions. But thank you for always being fair and just supportive of women and everybody that came to that podium, no matter whether they had something you wanted to hear or didn't want to hear. You always were respectful. That's very much appreciated. And best of luck.
Thank you, Catherine. At this time, we're going to hear from the honoree. You finally speak, Ms. Johnson. But we got some more things after you speak, but go ahead.
Okay.
It's all on you.
First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the citizens of Halifax County, and especially my community in Hollister, for the support that you've given me over the years. when I saw that plaque, I thought about my late granddaughter. My son, the oldest son, Horace Jr., who was a deputy administrator in Maryland before he got sick. And they did pretty much the same thing that's going on here. They did a service of recognition for him, and they gave him a day. Well, he sent me, the newspaper had put a picture of him along with the article. They had framed it and they sent it to me. Well, being the mom that I am, of course, I put it up in my house so it could be seen and everybody came in. My granddaughter came to visit and she saw the plaque. And she said, "Grandma, when are they going to give us a day?" I said, "Dear, you got to do something for me."
Give us a day.
So when I got this plaque, a proclamation, I thought about me. We lost me about 2 weeks ago. I thought about her, and I'm accepting this in her honor.
Amen.
She wanted us to have a day.
That's all
So
right.
now we have a day.
That's all right.
In my life, I've tried to be a servant. I tried to do what I thought was the right thing to do. And if it came out being exemplary or being good or being whatever, then I have to give God the glory for that.
Amen.
Because it's not about me.
That's right.
It's all about Him. There was one time when I was superintendent of schools, chairman of the Board of Social Services, county commissioner chair, Board of Health, and the list went on and on and on. And I thought to myself, well, how can you do all this? And the only way that it could be done with the help of the good Lord.
That's right.
It's in my DNA to be a servant. Today, just this weekend, I went to Maryland. That's where I'm from. My brother met me there. He's from Michigan. And every year, at the first week in November, we have this service at our church, and we have a parade there honoring my great-great-great-grandfather. My great-great-great-grandfather purchased some land. Wasn't a lot of money, but he purchased the land. And on that land, the first piece of land that he purchased, he built a one-room school. Because at that time, African Americans didn't have anywhere to go to school. Next, he purchased another piece of land. And on that land, he built a church so that our people could go to church and they could worship together. So my brother and I went to Maryland for the ceremony. We got to see cousins and nieces and nephews and grandmas and grandpas. We saw everybody. And I thought about that. I said, well, that was his legacy. That was his legacy. And when you do good, it has a way of coming back. If it doesn't come back to you directly, it might come back to your children or your grandchildren. So someone asked me, are you excited? Yes. Are you going to miss everyone? Yes. Are you coming back frequently? No. But it's good to hear all the accolades. It's good to hear that people appreciate what you do and what you've done. And when I saw the children, that's when I got emotional. To see the children from Halifax County School. And to see Miss Arrington sitting over there.
That's right.
We work together. Miss Nicholson, who looks like she's about the size of the children. And I thank you, Mr. Pittman, for bringing the students from Halifax County Schools, because that was really a part of my heart. We were together for maybe 30-plus years, maybe a little bit longer than that. And when you have that kind of connection, it means a whole lot. So that was a wonderful, 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 wonderful surprise. I thank you for everything. And there's a hymn that we sing in my church. And don't worry, I'm not gonna sing. But the verses say, we come this far by faith,
Leaning on the Lord, trusting
trusting
in
His
holy word.
and what?
He never failed.
Fail me yet.
It's all right.
Amen.
Man. Okay, we got to do a couple more things with Ms. Johnson, then we're gonna be wrapping this up. We're gonna take a break. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is, I want all the commissioners, everybody at this table, come out here with Ms. Johnson. And, then after we do that, I'm gonna have the family, her family and her family members here, church, members and friends from Hollis or whatever, want to take a picture, can do that. And then we're gonna do the blessing of the food, and we got, like, the freshmen outside. So we're gonna do this kind of quick, okay? All right.
I'm gonna scoot y'all a little bit this way. I'm gonna try to center y'all in front of the seal. Little scoochy. There we go. Yes, that looks nice. All right, a little more love. Okay. There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very nice.
Well, if the chief and all of my community from Hollister, Gid, come on up here. Come on, Miss Ophelia, go face.
Ms. Lashley?
Dr. Griffin.
You can get in the back.
My principal, Ms. Arrington, Ms. Nicholson, come on down.
Where? I didn't. No, I didn't.
Mr. Brown, Tony Brown. Come on, you need to go. Come
I got to show a lot of squeezy love. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's either squeeze or make sure. Let's see how we do. I think we can do it. All right. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Very nice.
Okay. All right, let's see.
Yeah, well, I was aware of that, but I missed the
Okay, now we're going to,
Zoom meeting they all had, but
we're going to ask Commissioner Brewer
called me and asked me if I would be
to
willing
do
to
the
serve
blessing
somewhere.
of the food. We just got very light refreshments out here in the hall. Feel free to partake. Commissioner Brewer.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hold on for a second. You'll have a chance to fellowship and do that. Ms. Brewer.
Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for servants who serve everybody throughout this county.
Mm-hmm.
We ask that you bless the food before us, those beside us, and the love between us.
Mhm.
Amen.
Amen. We'll be at these about 10 minutes. Statute 153A-52.1, the Halifax County Board of Commissioners provide a public comment period once a month as an item of business on its regular meeting agenda. Now is the scheduled time for public comment period. When I call your name, please come to the podium, state your name, your address, and begin speaking. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. If you have documents that you want to give to the board, please hand those documents before going to the podium to speak. I will not go over the rules of the public comment period because they were posted by the door at this room. By signing up to speak, you have acknowledged that you are familiar with the rules and that you will abide by them. We will do our best to hear from everyone who has signed up to speak, but if we are unable to accommodate everyone in the allotted time, you'll be invited to speak during our next public comment period, at which time you'll be given priority and will not have to sign up again. The Halifax County Board of Commissioners do appreciate your interest in government and look forward to hearing from you. At this time, I'm going to invite Mr. James Mills from Scotland Act to come up and speak, and I think he's going to talk about some Board of Election issues, I believe. Good morning, Mr. Mills.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
My name's sir.
Words could not quantify the magnitude of the greatness of Ms. Carolyn Johnson. And I salute her service, and she is a friend. Her husband and I were great friends as well. And I'm here today in a way, and really, I think really on time, because what I'm about to present to you is a part of the unfinished business. The unfinished business of bringing representation to Halifax County in a way that makes sure that all populations are represented properly. Before you have my resolution, and I also bring you greetings from Dr. C.E. McCullough, who's a part of the lawsuit that we did years ago. And let me just read the resolution, if I may, and you can ask me questions. I'm wide open for this. The resolution in support of changing the election of Halifax County School Board members to districts. Whereas the Halifax County Commissioners acknowledge the importance of fair representation and local governance in the educational system. Whereas the current at-large election system for Halifax County School Board members may not adequately represent the diverse interests and needs of the various communities within Halifax County. Whereas transitioning to a district-based election system for Halifax County School Board may enhance accountability, accessibility, and representation for constituents across the county. Whereas the change to a district-based election system for Halifax County School Board members would align with the principles of democracy and community empowerment. It did resolve that the Halifax County Commissioners hereby express their support for the changing the election of county school board members to district system starting 2026 election. Be it further resolved that Halifax County Commissioners urge the North Carolina State Legislature to consider and enact the necessary legislative changes to facilitate the transition to the district-based election system for Halifax County School Board members. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the relevant state legislators representing Halifax County and to the appropriate state agencies for their consideration and action. Approved and adopted by Halifax County Commissioners on this day, 2024. And then, of course, the commissioners will sign and county.
Okay. All right. You've heard the information coming from Mr. Mills. Any questions or any discussions? Okay. If not, thank you, Mr. Mills. Appreciate it. Okay, at this time, we're going to ask Miss Laura Brown to come up and speak. Miss Brown, good morning. How are you? All right, and Miss Brown, I don't know, let me go back. Madam Clerk, did Mr. Mills give his address and all that when he spoke?
408 East 18th Street, Stockton.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Okay, Ms. Brown, that's okay. Ms. Brown, I would ask you to do the same thing. Give your name and your address.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Laura Whitaker Brown. My address is 16332 Justice Branch Road, Littleton. And I have lived at this address for 36 years this month. I'm here this morning making an appeal for a county board. I do not have county water. When the county water lines were ran on Justice Branch Road, it stopped just shy of my house, about 2/10 of a mile, leaving me unable to connect to it. And that was quite a few years ago. Now, my neighbors had an option to cut to the water, but I didn't have the option because they stopped before they got to my driveway. When they brought the water through, there were only 2 houses left without water. My house and the house across the road from me. It seemed very unfair to me that the water line stopped about 2/10 of a mile from the house and leaving me without county water. I was told when they were originally ran that it was no expense. But my understanding now is that running the lines, these 2/10 of a mile, would be very expensive. But I don't have county water. I think I'm entitled to the same treatment as my neighbors down the road, which is only 2/10 of a mile. Therefore, this morning I'm requesting that the water line be run down to my driveway and I be given the same option, looking up to the well, looking up to the it as well. I would like to have county water. I would be very appreciative for your urgent attention to this matter. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to make this appeal.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Appreciate you coming before us. All right, this time we're going to move to the next item on the agenda, which is public hearing. The public hearing item deals with the amended and restated Economic Development Incentive Grant Agreement with JBB and Packaging LLC. We'll hear from Ms. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is required to appropriate and expend county funds pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute 15871A. And this amended Economic Development Incentive Agreement is with a manufacturing company, JBB Packaging. We have an existing Economic Development Incentive Agreement that was executed in 2019. And the agreement that is being presented will amend the agreement and increase the years of the Economic Development Incentive Agreement to an additional 5 years and change the total amount by $553,827. And then, of course, grant payments would be contingent on a specified level of investment by the company and them paying their taxes prior to any incentive agreement being made. And that taxable investment would be in the form of land, building, machinery, and equipment. And the county would fund the grant payments from the county general fund, which would be paid by tax revenues from the company over that period of time. As I mentioned, the annual grant payments beginning, there was an incentive agreement that was entered into in 2019. 4 of those incentive agreements will be paid as of January 15th of 2025. And then the years 6 through 10 would be a total incentive grant of $553,827, which would be a total cost of $817,827. That includes what was paid previously and what would be paid in year 6 through 10. This public hearing, and then you will have information to consider after the public hearing as well.
Okay, you've heard the information come from Ms. Scott. Any questions or comments? Attorney Rollins?
If I can confess to a mistake I made, I prepared the agenda item for both the public hearing and the action on the public hearing, and I made a math error. I counted an annual payment under the existing agreement, somehow counted it 2 times. So you'll see there where it says total cost on your agenda item. That's incorrect. The total, including from the first year through what would be year 10, as Kathy said, is $817,827, not the amount that I made the error on. My apologies for that, and I thank Kathy and Michelle for grabbing me by the arm and not twisting too hard to remind me that I had messed it up. So,
Attorney Rollins, just to make sure that I'm clear on it, the total cost is that $817 that you're talking about. What about the county cost? Is there?
that is, all these incentive agreements are always paid from county funds.
Okay.
So these are coming from county funds, and as I should have said before, $264,000 of that is already paid or about to be paid under the existing incentive grant agreement. There would be, if you adopt the amended agreement, to increase the annual payments and to extend the payments from 5 to 10 years further, then the additional amount would be $553,827. So I hope that clears that up. But as Kathy said before, all of these incentive grant agreements are based upon a certain commitment by the company to keep a verified level of taxable investment throughout that 10-year period, to maintain the number of jobs or add the number of jobs they've committed to adding, and they are going to be making additional investment and adding jobs, and to maintain those for the term of the extended grant period, and to maintain wages at an average of at least what the average wage is in Halifax County from year to year. In other words, we don't just start at an annual hourly wage that you have to maintain. You have to keep it at the average hourly wage as that changes from year to year, which we certainly hope it will. So there are commitments by the company in exchange for these proposed amendments as well.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, just before I ask for a motion to open the public hearing, I need to read a opening statement for public hearing. Public hearings are held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding a specific subject. Those persons desiring to speak will give their name, their physical address, their phone number, and the name of the organization that they are speaking for, if applicable. We request that each speaker limit their comments solely to the issue at hand and not direct comments toward specific individuals. In the interest of time, please do not repeat facts or issues covered by previous speakers. If you wish to comment, you should express your opinion on the subject matter and give the board an understanding of whether you favor or oppose the issue being discussed. The Halifax County Board of Commissioners values and appreciates the opportunity to listen to the citizens of the county and respect requests that the above guidelines be followed. Colleagues, with that being said, can I get a motion to open this public hearing for amended the restated economic development incentive grant agreement with JB&B Packaging LLC?
I move to open up the floor for public hearing.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, citizens, the floor is now open. You may come forward and follow my directions, please.
Mr. Chair, seeing as no one's coming forward, I move that the public hearing be closed.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, all right. Okay, next item is the adopt a new county seal in recognition of 250th anniversary of Halifax Resolve. We're going to hear from our wonderful Deputy County Manager, Christina Wells.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and
Okay.
board members.
Good morning.
So going forward, that's what we're going to
See you
have.
this morning. I'm
Right,
excited
okay.
for the talk.
That's fine, I was just,
All right, so I'm just going to read to you a little bit from the agenda item, more for the audience's needs than yours, since you have it before you. But, as you know, the 250th anniversary of the Halifax Resolve, which is the first official action by any colony to declare independence from England, will take place on April 12th, 2026, as part of the semi-quincentennial observances from 2024 through 2026. In honor of that pivotal point in history and Halifax County's crucial role in the foundation of American independence, we suggest the adoption of a new Halifax County seal. A proposed Halifax County seal honoring this important legacy is attached. The proposed seal was included with design work commissioned by the Halifax County Convention and Visitors Bureau to market the semi-quincentennial. So it follows the same color scheme and themes with most of the semi-quincentennial marketing. The proposed seal clearly denotes Halifax County as being the first for freedom and home of the Halifax Resolves. So I've put that before you today. You can take note, everyone in the audience, of our current seal, which has served us well, but can be a bit historically confusing. We do clearly denote April 12th, 1776 as the date of the Halifax Resolves. But I bet there are many of you who have no idea why there's a little house in the middle and may have no idea why it also references Constitution. Okay.
Ms. Wells,
Yes, sir.
don't mean to cut across, but is there any way that you could put that on the screen where the public can see it? And I know this is real on the spot with this thing.
I can turn my laptop around. It may be a bit difficult
And I can
to.
bring it up on my laptop
Okay.
as well.
I just wanted the public to be able to see it. Commissioners I know can see it.
Well, maybe I'll make it a little larger. Let's see. Zoomy.
No,
Searchy, searchy. Zoomy. All right, let's see.
Jessica, there's no way you can take what they have here and put it on the screen?
I don't know where that,
You can?
she may be able to.
Yeah, she says she can, she says she can do it. It may take a minute.
I'll back away. So for the audience's purpose,
You can go ahead and continue talking. They'll put it up
for
whenever.
the audience's purpose, and we commissioners have this in front of them, we're suggesting something quite a bit more simplified. The Constitution House is in the middle, but it's actually not known as the Constitution House anymore. It is on the site of the historic site in Halifax. It used to be known as the Constitution House and was known as the Constitution Burgess House. Now it's just known as the Burgess Law Office. It's a bit confusing, has nothing at all to do with the Halifax Resolves. They were not signed there, they were not discussed there. So it can be a little, there we go, we're getting there. Okay, so it can be a little difficult for people to understand. What we are suggesting is a very clean seal. As you know, a county seal is not a logo. You can't cram all sorts of things into it. You kind of pick something that you're the most known for. Nationwide, this is probably the way we would be best known in the United States of America. So of course, we have the state of North Carolina across the top, Halifax County across the bottom. The color scheme, red, white, and blue, very patriotic.
There we go. Thank you.
There we go. We're very proud of being first for freedom. And then the center, of course, in the center, we denote First for Freedom, which was also the name of the historic outdoor drama that was presented named Frankie for many years, starting at the bicentennial, that told the story of how the results came to be. And then
I'm trying to
at
show
the
the blue, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's actually very blue.
Yeah, it's very, as you can see, very navy blue. And then at the bottom, of course, April 12th, 1776. And then in the center, a quid, which of course was the writing implement of the time. And if you have all heard the phrase that the pen is mightier than the sword, definitely in this case, pen was mightier than the sword. That was the first official action. And that is hugely significant, not only for our county, not our state, but nationwide. This really marks us as the center of the birthplace of American independence, the first retreat. So that is what we put before you today. Thank you for that suggestion,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, you're very welcome, thank you.
I mean, you need public input into this.
No, I just want the public to see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this just for the 250 or this is?
Not necessarily. We would certainly suggest adopting it in conjunction with the semi-quincentennial. You can choose, a board at a later time could choose to change the seal again. Of course, it's not something that you change, I don't want to say, but for lack of a better term, willy-nilly. We want to put some very good thought behind changing the seal. And it's not that our current seal is bad, it's just a bit confusing with the connection between Constitution and April 12, 1776. We would really like to be very purposeful in what we're promoting for the counties. But certainly, yes, it can be changed again. It has been changed before and can be changed again.
And just my thought, have you tried it with a lighter blue?
This is the blue that came with the marketing materials for the semi-quincentennial from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We could possibly try a lighter blue. I think they were hearkening to the American flag blue, which is, of course, that rich navy blue.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Somebody said they love it. Okay, thank you. Can't take credit for it.
Okay, all right, Ms. Denton, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Semi-Quincentennial Commission has been looking at this particular seal, but to add to it, we're also looking at doing commemorative license plates, or actually real license plates. And there will be, yes, it would be the same theme, color scheme, so it would be consistent across. We are just about to the finish line to get those ready. So I think that they'll be quite popular, but it'll be a consistent color scheme and everything throughout, so.
May I speak? I don't
Yeah.
think the public can quite really see what we're seeing. That, to me, is very unattractive. But if you look at the actual mock-up here, it's a totally different look.
It's much brighter.
Very much brighter, not that dark.
Yeah.
I think that's the confusion.
Yes, and Frankie reminded me of something very important, which you had already, I believe, heard from the Halifax County Arts Council and the Convention and Visitors Bureau, who received a grant, and will be installing the quill sculpture on the lawn of the historic courthouse. So that will also harken nicely to this seal. And with the marketing for the semi-quincentennial, which of course, the Convention and Visitors Bureau goes statewide, nationwide, it's just a very consistent theme, and it would serve us nicely from a marketing perspective as well, in addition to hearkening to our very, very important history.
And please, my question was not because I'm not in support of it. I just wanted this.
No, I think that's, they really.
But I think
pulled
this is
that
a more
American
accurate.
flag blue, and I like the two little stars. I like the two little stars. Yeah.
Okay.
Seeing it in live, it gives a whole different, to see that red border.
Yeah, there's a red
Yeah.
border that's a little bit hard to see.
You have that with the red border.
Yeah, that's
Yep, just that, yep, she's got that.
Okay. Thank y'all so much. It may seem like we're taking a lot of time with this, but this is real important,
Historically inaccurate. It's that we're not the first for freedom, we're the first for independence. Freedom came later. But this is-
Mr. Mills, we're not gonna get in a discussion about that. Yeah, you are, yeah. Yeah, we're not gonna get in a discussion about that. The reason that I had asked him to put it up there, I just wanted the audience to have a look at as to what we're doing. That was the reason. But we're not getting into particulars of it. Okay, Commissioners, any further comments about it?
Does the public get an opportunity to make suggestions? I don't mean in this session, but is there a forum for them?
I don't know, that's something the commissioners can certainly decide.
We can do that as a board if y'all want to.
You have a historian sitting out here in James Mills, so at some point, maybe you want to give a forum for.
That would be a good idea.
Good point.
We could do that. Now, is there a timetable with this?
There is not. We didn't bring it to you, well, we're bringing it to you in 2024, but it's, not something we necessarily launched in 2024. Certainly, we would want to get it done within the next 6 to 12 months so
Okay.
that we can really have that change happen and in place before the April 12th, 2026.
Okay. With that being said, even though I know we're not required to do it, but if the commissioners want to do it, certainly I think that that's appropriate to have a public meeting to where we have citizens to come and speak. Mr. Mills, certainly you can come and talk about it if you choose to. And you understand why you couldn't talk a while ago. But anyway, and I would suggest probably sooner rather than later. My thinking is probably need to do it December, January, but probably no later than February, have a public meeting. So commissioners and staff, y'all help us with this, Ms. Denton and Ms. Wells. What do y'all think? What is a good time frame if you all want to do that? I'm assuming that we all want to do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what would be a good time frame?
Next meeting, next regular meeting.
In December?
That's what I was,
And just
December.
invite public comment?
Yes.
That might be,
Okay.
instead of having to have a separate, yeah,
Right.
it's a good idea.
Is that, and I know we're going to have the swearing in of the new commissioners at that meeting and some other things, but that's not going to be a lengthy agenda that, okay?
I don't think so.
Okay,
We're trying to keep it.
okay,
We can also put some options, for example, with Mr. Mills' reference, we could put, instead of First for Freedom, we could put Birthplace of American Independence.
Okay.
Because there are some logos that denote it.
right, okay. Yep,
That's great as well.
Yep.
I don't think we could be better known than Birthplace of American Independence.
and also too, you could have all those options as a part of that meeting and,
Absolutely.
have you to come up and present prior to the public comment, as you know. Okay, so the first meeting in December. Thank you for that suggestion, Ms. Johnson, and thank you, Mr. Mills, for saying something. All right, December, okay, that's when we'll do it. All right, next item. Action on the public hearing, I believe that's next, isn't it? Item 6. Okay, action on the public hearing. Ms. Scott, did you have anything you want to add?
Yes, sir. You have before you a resolution in which you review and will approve to support the action on the public hearing, along with the proposed amended and restated economic development incentive agreement. All of the facts remain the same as we discussed during the public hearing, that the total cost, the amended and restated cost is $817,827, and $264,000 of that will be paid for years 1 through 4.
Right.
That are current in the original economic development incentive agreement. So just wanted to make those points.
Okay, all right.
If there are
Thank you.
any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions or comments to Ms. Scott?
Could you, because I wasn't here during that time, could you review what the original agreement was? I just,
Yes, the original agreement was for 5 payments of $66,000 a year, so it was $330,000.
the county would pay that, in return, the company would do.
Create jobs and investment, and that tax that they pay to the county for the investment that they made. And I believe their minimum required investment at that time was $12 million, which they always exceeded. And then they were to create 50 new jobs. And so they have retained those 50 jobs over that period of time and plan to increase their jobs by 10 for the next, the amended and restated agreement timeframe.
If I can add to that, Ms. Davis, compare that 12 million, which was their commitment with the first agreement, their commitment now in year 6 through 10 exceeds 17 million. So they've committed to quite a bit more in terms of taxable investment in the county and with respect to jobs and average hourly wage.
Okay. That's what I was sort of trying to work out in my head.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Fair
yes,
question.
There's additional, and then they're required, their minimum hourly wage required is $19.98 an hour, which is about $780 a week, just so you know. And there really is, economic benefit to our county for these jobs and investment the company will make.
Okay, good discussion. Anything else?
Good question.
Did you finish, Ms. Scott?
I am, yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Davis, did you have any further questions? Okay. All right, anyone else?
There's one more point I just wanted to make. There is a termination of public facilities agreement that needs to be considered as well by the board. I'm sure Glenn will discuss that with you.
It is, and that's included in the resolution. Part of this amended and restated agreement is that the resolution would have you adopt that proposed agreement, which is included in your agenda packet. It also requires that both the county and the company will terminate a facilities agreement we have with respect to a $750,000 CDBG grant that was unfortunately unable to go through with that grant. And so we want to terminate those documents. That's included in the resolution. So the required action that would cover everything would be to adopt the amended and restated economic development, the resolution authorizing the amended and restated agreement and other related matters. That's the other related matter, was to terminate the old grant agreement.
Okay. All right. With that being said, can I get a motion?
Move approval.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Scott. All right. Now, the fiscal year 24-25 grant program funding recommendations. And that's the next item on the agenda. This is very good, and I'm glad some of the public is staying here to hear the next presentation. All right, Ms. Wales, we'll hear from you.
All righty.
You may want to tell us who was on the committee and all that,
I
too.
certainly will. I'm very excited about this presentation as well.
Yep. We're excited to hear from you, too.
All right. So, as you all know, we always include funding of what we used to term outside agencies, anyone who was not officially county government entity, as part of our annual budget considerations. And this year, we set aside $50,000 to fund public work by nonprofit corporations. But instead of having them just send requests in for board consideration during the budget, we converted the program to a community grants program, very similar to our Recreation Partners grant program. What we were trying to do was to increase transparency and to let the public clearly know a good understanding of the ways in which county governments can provide funding for local nonprofit corporations performing public work. So, working with County Attorney Rollins, we developed a good program, and we actually this year made notification of the program at the end of September via various public means, the Daily Herald, our Spin, county website, etc. We also sent some letters to agencies we have previously funded. For example, Haven would be one that we would have sent a letter to. So we did that on September 23rd, opened the application process, and applications were due October 15th. In total, we received 8 applications from local nonprofit corporations. And I hazard to say that all the proposed programs were very worthwhile and met all of our funding criteria. The committee, which I was proud to serve on, as well as the county manager, county attorney, county finance director, assistant county manager, and our wonderful commissioners, Carolyn Johnson and Linda Brewer, sat in your seats and reviewed the applications. And we were all very pleased at everything that came across the desk. The Community Grant Program Review Committee was able to provide some funding for all 8 programs, which is wonderful. We may not have been able to fulfill their requests entirely, but we were able to provide some funding for all 8. And so we put before you our funding recommendations totaling, Jessica, if you, or Chuck, if you can click on the fiscal
bottom
year
one.
24, yeah, that one. Thank you. There we go, very good. Okay, so here you will see.
Can you enlarge it a little bit?
I don't blame you. Very good.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right.
Okay. So here, I just kind of smushed two spreadsheets together that we had before us. I put the agency, the project that they proposed, and then in the yellow, there are very specific categories, and the County Attorney Rollins can elaborate on this if needed. Very specific programs, categories that county governments can fund. Those being museums and the arts, limited housing, public recreation facilities, social services programs outside of what our Department of Social Services normally does, as well as programs directed at senior citizens. So what we did was take each agency and their project and pick a category in which that project best fit. And I'm pleased to say, with the exception of limited housing, we had projects in every category, which was very exciting. And I won't read everything to you, but CADA had a project for housing, emergency assistance, and employment, which best fit our social services programs. They had a request of $50,000. We weren't able to meet that request, but we were able to provide $19,000 in funding, which was very exciting. I'm going to go through a few of the other ones. Probably the arts might be an area that we've never really seen funding requests before, and it was exciting to see those. So the Halifax County Arts Council and the Historical Halifax Restoration Association. The Arts Council put forth a program called The Artist in You, where they're not only going to train people in various art forms, but also going to work with the community college to show them how artists can become entrepreneurs, which I love. That's a small business encouragement. And the Historical Halifax Restoration Association, the Bradford Denton House that they located near the historic site, they're actually putting in an additional building focused on the tobacco trade and how Halifax was a port town on the river. And so we were able to provide a limited amount of funding to assist them in that project. There are a few others. Hattie Palmer Staten, one of our favorite senior center, they're providing healthy meals. So the project that they put forth, the entire cost of what they asked for was to provide those meals at $10 per person. And let's see, another, and the Highly Favored Ministries in Hollister, similar situation. They were providing activities for the seniors in the Hollister community. So two great programs serving our older citizens. And then Roanoke River Partners, categorized as public recreation facilities. They have 2 camping platforms on the Roanoke River and seeking funds to help maintain those platforms. Something that's very exciting is that the entire Roanoke River Paddle Trail is now a state designated trail. But of course, maintenance funding is still needed to keep those platforms up to date. And then finally, another 2 really great, long-standing nonprofit corporations in our community, both the Roanoke Valley Adult Day Center and the Union Mission. The Adult Day Center is seeking to do an accessible computer lab for some of their participants. So that could mean that there are specially designed keyboards that make it more accessible, or monitors that are larger and able to magnify and blow up text. And then the Union Mission, I liked how they requested Operation New Van. They're not seeking a new van, they just want a van that's newer than the one that they have. And of course they referenced transporting meals and pounds of food and picking up food from the food bank to deliver. So I mean, just really, really worthwhile projects. I think the committee worked very hard, and we analyzed it down to the dollar, and we're able to come up with $50,000 to satisfy some portion of each project's needs. So we put that recommendation before you today for your approval.
Okay. Any questions or comments from any of my colleagues?
I want to talk about the evaluation part of that once the project is done.
Certainly. So County Attorney Rollins came up with a great, again, and very similar application to our Recreation Partners Grant program. Let's see. And it was very clear from the program information what the funding categories were. And we'll scroll down a little bit, and what the deadlines were and what the requirements were. What they included in their proposal was a scope of work, which included their goals and performance measures, how they're going to evaluate the program going forward, and be able to share that feedback back with the county. A detailed budget so that we would know exactly how those funds would be administered. Compliance with the E-Verify requirement, that's something very specific to our government needs here. Just making sure that they verify work authorization of each employee. A requirement that the recipient maintain all accounts, books, ledgers in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. A requirement that any funds that would be improperly spent would be reimbursed to the county. Indemnification by the grant recipient of the county. Certification by the county attorney, who was on the committee, that there is statutory authority for the public funding of the work, which was those categories. And let's see what else. They also gave us a timeline, a target area or a group geographic area served within Halifax County, their most recent audit or financial statement to make sure that the organization itself is in good financial standing, and proof that they are also in good standing with the North Carolina Secretary of State as a nonprofit corporation. So once we could check all those boxes and satisfy what category of public work they were performing, then all of our checks and balances were met and we could approve funding.
Okay, all right, anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make one comment if I could, please.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to commend the committee for the donations and all that they gave the various organizations. But I would like to challenge the county to see if we can't find more funding for these organizations. If we look at what was requested and what was and what we had allotted totally, it's not even half of what these organizations were asking for. And serving on the Cater, as a member of the Cater Board, I believe we serve 4 counties: Halifax, Northampton, Bertie, and Hertford. Halifax makes the smallest donation in those counties, which we are the largest county, and our population receives most of the benefits from Cater. But yet we put back the least of any county of the 4 counties that I just named. And I would like to kind of challenge us in the future to see if we can't do a little bit different.
Okay. We certainly will take that on the advisement, Commissioner Smith, and going forward. Also, I just want to point out that that this program is new, as we all know. At first we had just a Recreation Partners program, which I think we had said that we would get, what the commission have said, about $30,000 aside, for that. And this program is new, so, we can probably look at that and tweak it, going forward. But, I think this is a good start. I see this as another good opportunity for, for nonprofits in our county, to utilize this if they meet the certain criteria. But anyway, appreciate what you said,
Yes,
Commissioner.
and I would like to say, in all honesty, that we are they are receiving less from us this year than what they received last year, and every other county has increased their donations toward Cater.
Okay. All right. Okay, anyone else? I do want to, I echo what Commissioner Smith said as far as commending the committee for all your hard work. I've looked at this in detail, and I've looked at the criteria that you used for the selection, and you all did a real good job. I mean, you really did, because I did get a couple of phone calls, and I don't know if I shared this with the county manager or not, but from the Senior Citizen Center in Scotland Neck, about how that place was liking as far as funding, and And so I was glad that you were able to secure $7,000 for them, which I think is commendable, as well as a lot of other agencies on this list. Thank you so much. Job well done. Now, since Commissioners Johnson and Brewer are going off, so okay, just a warning to the ones that are remaining and coming on. Hint, Commissioner-elect Silver. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, if not, we need a motion for the, I do have one thing that I had made a note down here about. Can you help me understand just a little bit better, Ms. Wells? Public recreation facilities versus recreational partners program. Can you just draw the distinction with that? Because I know it's kind of close together, but anyway.
What we seek in the Recreation Partners Program grants is funding for typically summer programs that benefit either youth or, could be people of any age. It doesn't have to be physical recreation, it could be any type of recreation. It could be arts and crafts, trips, whatnot. In fact, I think Funky Missionary Baptist Church this year put forth a project where they actually, the participants understood more about their history, and they started at the historic site, moved on to the Museum of History in North Carolina, and then actually took a trip to Washington, D.C. to learn more about their national history. So that's more of a programmatic funding opportunity. This is more of a facilities and maintenance type program opportunity.
All right.
If I can tie that to the law, your authority under the general statutes is, under recreation, you can do two kinds of things. You can fund programs of supervised recreation, or you can fund recreation facilities. And in this particular community grants program, we decided that funding recreation facilities would be something over and above and beyond what we do with the Recreation Partners Program, which is to fund programs of supervised recreation.
Okay, thank you. Thank y'all. All right. If we did carry that motion, didn't we? Madam Clerk, did we carry that motion? We have not. Okay. All right, so what is your pleasure in regards to the recommendation coming from Ms. Wells?
Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of the recommendation.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay. Next item, item B, Fourth Amendment to grant projects ordinance. We'll hear from our attorney.
Oh, I was ready, but okay. Yes, okay. As I guess it's about our third or fourth year of dealing with ARPA funds, and I think this is going to be the last time we're going to ask you to amend the grant projects ordinance for ARPA. As you know, we did our last amendment back in, I think, in January, and at that time we still had about $1.1 million that you had appropriated or designated for broadband infrastructure projects for our ARPA funds. Since then, we need to let you know that what we intended to use that for was the CAB program. Help me, Christina. CAB is
Completing access to broadband.
I love it. Okay. Completing access to broadband. That program is about to undergo some changes. There is a House Bill 10 which has been vetoed by the governor, but will probably be subject to a veto override in the next couple of weeks in the General Assembly. Those changes to the CAB program would eliminate the authority of the county to participate financially in CAB. And we could still participate in the program. In fact, we're being asked to participate, and we've indicated to the state that we do want to participate in CAB. It's just that our statutory authority to spend local public dollars on CAB is probably going to go away if the veto is overridden. Even if it isn't, there is not enough time to get a CAB project under contract to obligate this money before the December 31st, 2024 deadline. So we're up against a deadline that we're not going to be able to even obligate this money to a broadband project, unfortunately. And so for that reason, we are requesting that you consider amending the grant projects ordinance to move that remaining $1,137,414 to two other projects that we already have in place, and that is, I think it's law enforcement services and detention services. We would move that money into those projects, and then we could, after funding or reimbursing salaries and benefits in those programs, the money could be placed in general fund. So that's our situation. If we don't get this done, we don't want to be in a situation where we have to return $1.1 million to Washington. You definitely don't want to do that. So our recommendation is that you adopt this Fourth Amendment to the grant projects ordinance for ARPA funds. I hope if you have questions, I'll be glad to take them. And it's rather complicated and disappointing. But nonetheless, CAB is still here. We just won't be having to use county dollars for it if we can get a program to come in here. Is that good?
I was going to clarify one point.
Please.
If I could. Thank you. Commissioner Davis asked the question. I think it was a good question that bears explanation to the entire board. You'll see that what we're doing, remember we chose the revenue replacement option. So to choose revenue replacement, what we're asking you to do is to transfer that 1.1 million to replace the funding in the budget for law enforcement and detention center salaries and benefits.
Wow.
What that means is it frees up that money, which will go into fund balance. I just want to make sure everything was clear.
That's right.
All right.
All right.
So,
So if it goes into fund balance, then it's accessible to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's accessible at any time
Okay.
for anything you have authority to spend money on.
Okay.
This is one thing that I will not be sorry to leave.
Amen.
I've been working on that for 99 years.
It's very complicated.
This is going to close us out, Ms. Johnson, with ARPA. It's
That's
been
good.
great to have this problem, but this will be our last amendment.
Good.
And we surely don't want to give it back.
No.
and the plus is it's going to free money we can do all things with. Yeah. Okay, with that being said, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Next item, turn around, you still up, mutual aid contracts for municipal fire inspection service.
Okay.
I see our fire chief back there, Marshall.
This looks like more than it really is. It's not that complicated. We're providing fire inspection services on sort of an informal basis for almost every community, every town in Halifax County except the city of Roanoke Rapids. We recently, at the request of the town of Weldon, who had their own fire inspector for years and then didn't, we executed an agreement with the town of Weldon to provide fire inspection services for them. And for that, I believe how we do that is that the fees for fire inspection are taken directly by the county, and the county is paid directly by the entity that needs the fire inspection services, and they pay under our fee schedule. We'd like to propose to get a more formalized agreement for each of the other towns other than Roanoke Rapids. We'd like to approach them with a similar agreement for this arrangement so that it's more formalized and understood how it will go. I've attached all 5 of those: Enfield, Halifax, Hobgood, Littleton, and Scotland Neck. But if you read them all, you pretty soon figure out they all said the same thing, except for the name of the community. All that being said, Roland, do you want to add to that about how it's gone with Weldon, or any other thoughts before I ask the board to consider?
There's nothing really to add other than the fact that it makes it easier for everybody that is in the agreement to just pay us directly and doesn't actually have any cost.
Right. Okay. good point is that, we are paid for these services under our fee schedule is how these agreements would work. And it takes the burden off each of the towns of having to figure out how they do fire inspections under the state building code. With that said, if I could have a motion to authorize the county to present these agreements and execute them once they're approved by each of the towns, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, I'll also entertain a motion if that's your pleasure.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, item 8, board appointments. Madam Clerk, do we have it under board appointments?
No, we don't.
Okay, I didn't think so. All right, so we'll move to item 9, economic development. Ms. Scott?
It's me again. And so someone took the remote, so I'm going to be quick because I can tell our chairman's tired this morning. Long weekend, I bet.
I'm good.
Okay, so you see the beautiful cotton fields. I guess everybody's noticing this time of year. We're number one in the state in cotton, so I thought it was important to make that those beautiful cotton fields.
I can see it.
Quick update on our economic indicators. I know you got this presentation in your package, so I'm not going to take a lot of time with it today. But our unemployment rate was 4.6%, just came out last week, which is really low compared to last year, 4.8%. But last month, it was 6.1%, so quite a big dip. And some of the changes that are taking place right now are in the construction industry and in the retail industry. So some changes in employment positively in those industries. The number of employed represents 879. Our building permits are a little bit off because our building department is going through a new system and they're getting acclimated to that. So I'll catch you up hopefully next month on all that, but I don't want you to be alarmed that we're that far off than we were last year because that does not include Halifax County permits. But our progressive building inspector is trying to get all this automated, so we appreciate him for that. Our retail sales are just at 60.7 million compared to 61.8 million, so that's a little bit lower than last year. Overall, our retail sales are higher than they were last year to date, but definitely at a slower pace than they were. Nothing to be concerned about, it's just that time of year. Go through a few things I wanted to point out. You got the presentation, but I did want to point out, thank you all for those of you that attended the annual meeting. It was a great annual meeting. Our speaker, Dan Gerlach, was just amazing. I just loved, I could have listened to him forever. But he highlighted the importance of a strong leadership, and that's what you as a board of commissioners have continued to provide over the years. And having skin in the game, and you all have recognized that in the past, in trying to support economic growth in Halifax County. But the other highlight for the evening certainly was Marshall Cherry with Running Electric Cooperative. His presentation of the annual Working Together Works Award to him, because he definitely represents a partnership with Halifax County that is tremendous. Quick overview of a couple other things. National Forest Products Week was in late October, and we try to market, these opportunities for us to highlight the forest products industry in Halifax County. And just so you know, hopefully you saw some of the information we put out, but in Halifax County, the forest products industry represents $617 million in annual economic impact, supports 1,526 jobs, and over 95 million in annual payroll. So that's quite an impact. And this is 2022 figures, so it doesn't even take into effect some of the companies like Roseburg who have continued to invest in Halifax County, and just the impact of the forest products industry continues to grow. As you know, the Halifax Corporate Park, we have been a certified industrial park in the past. That certification expires, so we have to apply every 4 years to get that certification, to keep that certification. So we have submitted a letter of intent to certify. The committee at the Department of Commerce approved that letter of intent and the information we provided. So we're submitting this week for a full certification again of the Halifax corporate card. Again, quickly, still working with projects at our select site, at US 301 industrial site, good projects that are moving forward. A couple of quick project updates. You see the construction of the hotel. If you go down there, you see it all the time. We're working with Tesla to get an event set for next month for the opening of their largest charging station on the East Coast. And then Heaton Construction will be having a grand opening with them next month as well. Our infrastructure projects, Chairman, you have always shown an interest in the Exit 154. Working with the management team, I think we've come up with maybe a way we can get our goals addressed more quickly. And so working together with another infrastructure project going on in the county, that we may be able to put those projects together and increase the funding opportunities. So I wanted to particularly let you know, because I know you care about all these, but that one is really important to you, I know.
Yep.
And then on the Airboss Road project, we hope to submit to the Southeast Crescent Authority in early 2025, their next application cycle. What's ahead, just a couple things I'll point out. This week, the Scotland Neck Business Association is having their annual meeting. I'll be attending. And then we're partnering the Halifax County Economic Development Commission and Northampton County Economic Development Commission. We're partnering with Halifax Community College on an apprenticeship summit on November 18th. So we'll be sending out information on that. That's all I have. Thank you for your attention to that.
Appreciate you, Ms. Scott. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. I do have one more item under my report that came up late Friday.
In closed session or right now? Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry for the last minute, but
That's fine.
that's the way we roll some days.
Does she have one?
Should be plenty.
Okay.
Not funny bone. Having extras on it. Y'all have a couple extras?
Yep, we do. Oops.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Here we go. You might have a bunch of extras. So, you'll recall in January of this year that you as a board approved an amendment to the contingent obligations rider between Vanderholt's and Halifax County. And that initial contingent obligations rider, can I just call it a COR, was part of the court-approved settlement between the county and Crossner when the sawmill facility was conveyed to Vanderholt's in 2021. So under that initial COR, Vanderholt's was obligated to create 150 full-time jobs, and by January 8, 2023, the county and Vanderholt's in January extended that compliance testing date and added an additional 12 months so that the actual period of job creation would be between August 1st, 2023 and July 31st, 2024. And that amendment also reduced the company's employee commitment from 150 to 120 jobs. And that was as a result of, post-COVID issues with hiring, things of that nature. So, Vanderholt's has provided staff with a copy of their quarterly wage and tax reports that they file each quarter with the Division of Employment Security during that 12-month period, and I've summarized that information below to show you where they are. And so there's a document attached called a discharge and satisfaction letter that would release Vanderholt's from their commitment regarding the job creation and retention. But as you can see from the information provided, they have exceeded the commitment that they made of 120 jobs. And if you use what the agreement states as the method to determine compliance, you use the highest employment number for the quarter. So that highest level column at the end of the summary at the bottom is that 138.75 jobs would be the average of jobs between, for that period. In some months, as you can see, it's definitely been much higher than that. So this information is usually under Glenn's report, but he asked me to summarize to verify the employment information and to present this information under my report today.
Yeah, and what I'll add to that, Kathy, thank you for doing that. What I'll add to that is that Bender Holtz has requested that we execute the discharge and satisfaction agreement, which is the last couple of pages on the handout that you have. They have satisfied their obligation to exceed 120 jobs during the last 12 months. They've met that commitment, and I think the request for the discharge and satisfaction is in order, so I'd ask you to approve execution of the discharge and satisfaction of the job commitment obligation under the continuing obligation rider, which ends our dealings with Brenda Holtz under that agreement, and out of that Klossner bankruptcy. Finally closed the last page. Kind of fitting, I guess, for this board. Any questions?
And we're so grateful it turned out so positive.
Amen.
All right. Yep. Any questions or comments? If not, we need a motion for that.
I move that the discharge and satisfaction letter with Bender Holtz be approved as presented.
Motion by Vice Chair Brewer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, appreciate you. All right, we'll hear from our county manager at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning again. Good morning to everyone. It's still morning for 5 more minutes. I have 4 items for you today in order on your agenda. The first is regarding our benefits broker recommendation. If you'll recall, when I first took this seat, that's one thing I really wanted to explore because that had never been done before, since even I had been with the county. And so we did an RFP, request for proposals, for benefit broker services. We got those in, and I have to give a lot of credit to Ms. Shotwell and her staff for taking a very deep dive and evaluating them. And I wanted her to come up and talk about some of the particulars about how we were able to evaluate the proposals. There had been some local interest in basically buying for our business. And so we were able to put out this RFP and take in the responses and really evaluate them on a very detailed basis. But I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Shotwell and let her talk a little bit about the process and where we are now, and then we'll make a recommendation.
Well, good morning.
Yes.
Good
morning.
So as Dia mentioned, September 5th, we advertised and posted the benefits RFP out there for businesses to reach out to us to receive that proposal. We had 7 companies contact myself to request that full proposal. Of the 7 requests, we have 4 proposals that were returned to us by the deadline of October 2nd. The first thing that we had done within my staff, a rubric, scoring rubric was created. And what we did was we divided the RFP into 4 categories. So the first one was minimum qualifications. Then we did background experience, service, and daily operations. From there, the RFP had 27 proposal requirements. So we took those proposal requirements and we put each of those questions into the appropriate 4 overlying categories. And we evaluated each category individually. But the first one that we did was minimum qualifications. So of the 4 proposals that were submitted, 3 of them met the minimum qualifications of what it was that we were looking for. So of the 4 submitted, we did a full evaluation of 3. And the end result of that review process, and I will say I have great staff that, we did this as a group, and we went through these proposals, which some of them, I think, the management team can attest to the fact that they were over, 170 pages. These proposals were very detailed. There was a lot of information that was returned to us that we had to filter through to find the answers to the questions that we were truly needing to know the information. But the end result of that was a total score of the 3. And while they all came in very close to one another, and the 3 companies were all very competent, very knowledgeable, there wasn't anything that stood out to us as being over and above the service that we already have. All of these companies do this very well, and there's so much that goes into a benefits broker and the services that they provide that there really needs to be something that just stands out as being great to justify such a disruption of service and change to not only the employees but also the staff, the finance department, the HR department. We have so many intertwined services with this group. So what we had found through this process was we recommended to Dia and the management team that we remain with Mark III Benefit Broker Services.
I can take it from here and do a little bit more detail. This was a big learning process for us. And as Kristen said, the proposals were very large and very detailed. So her staff did a really, really good job of breaking them down and going through them pretty methodically. And she's right, at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense to disrupt our current system the way we have it because Mark III is just as qualified as anybody else. We also have 2 or 3 programs that we've started in the last year, particularly surrounding weight management. And if you see television commercials about the GLP-1 medications, we have programs where our employees can get those medications for free. And they have been wildly popular. And if you aren't part of this program, your copay could be $800, $2,000, depending on what medication you end up with, what you qualify for, that kind of thing. So that would also disrupt this particular program. And because it has been so successful, we hope to expand it next year. It has been, and that is where we see a lot of our health issues is with diabetes and weight management, and that causes other issues like heart problems and that kind of thing. So I think we're on a good path now. For us, I think it was a lot of communication and being able to understand and speak their language and have them translate for us, if you will, what they mean when they use certain terminology. So I think we've come a long way. We do recommend remaining with Mark III. My request that you allow us to do that. We'll execute a contract with them. I don't know the exact cost at this point. It wouldn't be much more or less than what we're paying now. We're around $37,000 a year for that, so it's a reasonable cost, especially considering we're a self-funded program, and the county puts in $7 million a year to fund our benefits for our employees, to make sure that the premiums for employees are 100% paid, and you have those other benefits that you can access if you like and if you qualify for. So this was a very long and tedious process, but I wanted to bring that to you all because it's been something we've talked about for a while now, and to be able to get it to this point, we're satisfied, so I hope that you will be too.
Okay, any questions or comments to our HR director or the county manager? If not, I need a motion for your approval that we remain with Mark III Broker Services. Motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, back on you, Madam County Manager.
Thank you. County Manager, just a question, just a hypothetical question, really.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you didn't go through the process that you went through, would you have recommended this agency?
Maybe not, no.
You wouldn't have? Okay.
I feel better now. And to a certain extent, I think that's really opened up a lot of the communication and keeping them honest, so to speak. And I'm not implying that they were doing anything wrong, but I think it was just a disconnect between staff and their broker.
Okay.
I do feel better now. And with Kristen's help, she is a whiz at the benefits. And so she has been incredibly helpful to me to understand the things that we're getting and the deal that we're getting with what we're paying for. I feel better now.
It's remarkable what letting someone know you're looking at other options.
It's amazing.
It kind of, naturally just kind of gets their attention, and so we're looking forward to continuing working with them.
Ms. Shotwell, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, at this point, Ms. Denton, we're back on you.
Okay, thank you.
Item B.
The next two items are resolutions to honor retirees that were not present today. The first one is a resolution for Ms. Sandra Pittman retiring from the Sheriff's Office. I just request your approval of that retirement resolution.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Ms.
Move
Davis.
for approval.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second that, which has been put into motion.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, back with you.
Okay, the next one is a retirement resolution for Ms. Gaynell Bird, retiring from the Health Department. And if you know her, she has been around forever and a day. She was with our home health and hospice program before that program ceased to exist, so she has done it all. She's fantastic, but she has served over 29 years, and she is now retiring, so I request your approval of her resolution.
Okay, motion by Ms. Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, just before we do the county manager report, we're going to do a 5-minute break. It's 12:05.
Okay,
Everybody back
I got
at-
one more
Oh,
thing.
you got
when
one
we
more?
come back. I can do this, or I can do it when we come back.
Let's do it when we come back.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. No problem.
before we move to the next item. Ms. Denton?
Thank you. Just one more item, and I don't necessarily need action. I just want to run it by you, and a head nod will be fine. At the last meeting, Commissioner Smith had asked about a way for county or county employees and you all to donate to support those who've been affected by Helene in western North Carolina. And what I would recommend that we can really promote, both from now through November and especially at your reception for the three of you that are retiring next week, is to donate to the local Civic Foundation. This is a foundation that's a spinoff of the Civic Local Credit Union. If you remember, it used to be the federal local government employees credit union, and now it's Civic Credit Union. They have set up a foundation to funnel donations directly to those particularly local government employees that lost their homes or otherwise had damage from the storm. The good thing about this is that there's no administrative costs, so that is covered by Civic. So 100% of the donations would go to those affected. They do ask for it digitally, so there's a website and a Square site that you can make those donations. But if that sounds like something you all would want to support, we can certainly funnel that out through our Facebook page, through newsletter, and then add to it with the folks that are coming to your reception next week. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, everybody okay with that?
I see some heads. Okay.
All right.
Okay. We'll do that. I just wanted to make sure you all knew what I would like to do. Okay.
All right.
That is all for me.
Thank you. You have the green light on that.
Thank you.
Okay, Attorney Rollins, your report?
Yes, sir, I have one item for you, and nothing for closed session, so you don't have to anticipate that. But under my report, I think, Darcy, you still here because of this? Okay. About 3 years ago, we entered into a lease agreement with the town of Halifax, and we leased 12 parking spaces of the parking lot back here at the intersection of Pennsylvania and King Street. We leased 12 spaces to the town for town use, for visitors to the town or whatever, and we reserved the rest of the parking lot for county business during the week and so forth. Since then, the tax collector's office has moved into the old BB&T building, and I don't know if you noticed, but every time you walk in there, they're all like grinning from ear to ear. I wouldn't have seemed so happy. But with that, it would be convenient if we just decided it might be best just to do away with that lease arrangement, open up the entire parking lot for public parking, and including customers of the tax office or whoever. So the town of Halifax has already basically given the thumbs up to that idea to terminate that lease. And I just wanted to present to you, just get the authority to execute that termination of that lease arrangement. That will leave the entire parking lot open to public parking, county business, whatever. We will still have in place our ordinance, which does not allow overnight parking on that parking lot. So that doesn't change because that's by county ordinance. But if you have no objection, if we could just have a motion authorizing the chair and others to execute this termination of lease, we have that ready to go.
Okay, you've heard information coming from our attorney. What is your pleasure?
Move approval.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All opposed, like sign? Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Okay, under other business, I know we have Dr. Shotwell here. Thank you for waiting, Dr. Shotwell, who's the interim superintendent of Rutland City Schools, and he have his acting chair here, Tiffany Hale, and we're happy to have both of you all here. We hear from you at this time, Dr. Shotwell. Appreciate y'all's patience.
Good
Morning.
Again, my name is Tiffany Hill, and I am the Vice Chair for Rutland City Schools at this time. And I'm here this morning to accompany Dr. Shotwell and him presenting a proposal to you all. I would like to let you all know before, in a few more minutes, I'm going to have to leave because I've had a prior engagement and I'm going to have to step out. So I don't want to be rude and just exit the building.
Okay.
She keeps me straight.
great. I guess it was fortuitous because I've never written down what I was going to say in my 23 years of being a superintendent. I guess I knew this was going to happen because, as a superintendent, I never want anybody to vote on something after you've been in the meeting for 3 hours. I know it might not go the way that we want it to go, but I appreciate y'all taking a break and everything. That helps out a whole lot. It's also nice to know that there's more Shotwells in this county. I'm in Rockland County, I hear Shotwell, they're only talking to me, my wife, or my 2 boys. It's only 4 of us.
Right.
I found that there's a lot here.
On
That's
that,
good.
I'm sure I've sent you her emails before.
Probably. You probably got Chris.
You might have, yeah. If you get something good, please let me know. Okay. Well, anyway, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Vice Chairman, Board of Commissioners, County Manager, and your staff, on behalf of the Weldon City School Board, I would want to thank you for allowing us to be here. We want to talk about the agreement that you all had approved on October the 7th about splitting the 2% sales tax and taking ownership of the property while we're putting it together. Because you all, as a board, are able to recoup the 2%, where the school district's not able to do that. And with that being said, we are very grateful for the agreement that we have with you all. By bringing this refund opportunity to the county's attention, emphasize the initiative as a proactive step that directly benefits both the school district and our community. Without your diligence, there will be no refund to split. The potential $1.2 billion can directly support necessary construction alternates that might otherwise be deferred or underfunded. The improvements will illustrate the critical funds are needed to meet the district's educational goals. I also want to appeal to the community impact that this has of my ask. Because this investment can help us make the school system an additional point of pride for Weldon and Halifax County. It can also support community growth, which benefits the county as a whole. It will provide an additional venue for major tournaments in baseball, softball, basketball in the area, and the lights on the baseball and softball fields will serve as an equalizer for our children in Weldon who have never played a home game under the lights since 1960. By retaining the full refund, I'll just say that to start off, the district could avoid returning to the county with future funding requests. Investing in these alternate projects could now prevent the need for costly repairs, upgrades, or expansion soon, which would ultimately fall back on coming back here to the county commissioners. In 2018, a facility study cost estimate valued the project at Weldon High School at roughly $24 million to do major renovations and additions to bring the school up to snuff. If it were funded at that time, the county would still be paying on a debt service for 20 years of roughly $24 million. Now we have a $65 million project here in Halifax County and the town of Weldon, and receiving the sales tax refund would allow the district to select alternates to enhance the property and its value to the community. The $3.1 million match shows an overwhelming support for our schools and the future success of our youth. The sales tax refund is something neither board knew as an option for bringing the sales tax back to the people of Weldon and Halifax County. We are in a position to outfit the school to meet the needs of our student and our community needs. We're going to say, our elementary school has some capital needs as well, and this is one-time funding source that can prevent the county from having to allocate current resources in its budget or fund balance. We value each dollar allocated to our schools, and this fund plays a critical role in maintaining our buildings. I want to thank you again for the $235,590 for the capital outlay for this year. I also want to say thank you for just your support with this project. What I'd like to propose is a little bit different from just a full refund, because I can feel Ms. Wells and Mr. Everett over there going, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. But I want to propose something to you. I want to propose a compromise that benefits both boards as much as it would as to receive a full refund. I thought about how federal grants work for school districts. School districts can retain between 10 to 15% for indirect costs for administering the budget. Our ask would be for the commissioners to reconsider a 10 to 15% administrative fee
for any of the 2% sales tax returned to the county. This would still be $120,000 to $180,000, depending on which end of the spectrum that you go to, not only to oversee this refund, but also for the additional work that your staff is going to have over the $65 million project as a whole. And with that being said, if you don't mind, I have an updated alternate list that I'd like to
Yes, sir.
give everybody.
Okay.
There are groups of 3. That's the teacher coming out at me.
Okay, thank you.
The reason why that's an updated one from what was shared with the county staff was because we had 2 different meetings since that meeting. We had a value engineering meeting where we went back through and looked at our project to see what can be deducted, what can be added back in. And then we also had a meeting on Friday morning at 8 o'clock about the generator piece. So as a begin here, at the beginning of the list is the terrazzo flooring. You know, I'm standing on terrazzo flooring right now, and it's really, really nice. And part of the specs that we have for this alternate has the crest of Welcome City Schools at both the entrance of the high school and the middle school coming in there. I can tell you from being principal at Lexington Senior High School, that terrazzo floor and that crest means all the world to you when it's in terrazzo and not a sticker sitting on top of polished concrete. And that would include both emblems and terrazzo flooring that goes from the middle school entrance all the way around to the high school entrance and the common area there. Because I've told people before, 2 things are going to survive a nuclear holocaust: terrazzo floor and a cockroach. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then the other thing, originally in our plan, we had 2 signs that were going to be put up. But it really didn't make a lot of sense to have competing signs, one for the middle school, one for the high school. But we are putting up one that's going to be perpendicular to the building on County Road. And we have the base that's included in the GMP, so we don't have the sign included in there, and you can see the price for that. The greenhouse, the foundation, and conduits also included in the GMP. However, the greenhouse itself is not. The fire alarm connecting to the existing gym. We have 2 options there. We can either take the fire panel that's in the current building and put it over there and have it as an independent fire station in the Ralph J. Bunch gym. Or we could tie it all in with a brand new school. This is the part that I think is not just for Weldon City Schools, but I believe it's for everybody. Looking at a generator, we've gone back and forth about this because it's not in the original specs. However, we are asking for 1 generator that would run the freezer, the cooler, and emergency lights at the school. So that if we have a blackout or something, we're not going to lose food, those kinds of things in the kitchen. However, having been a shelter in place in Rockingham County through a couple of hurricanes, it's really critical when you have a large space, a gym, showers, and everything. And this new school, the way that it's designed, you have a core area that can do that for you. We have a kitchen that's going to be able to do everything. I know that you have the community college as one of your sheltering sites, but we have everything under one roof. We can feed 1,000 people in an hour. We can put cots in both gyms. With that being said, rather than having a gigantic generator that we would only use maybe once every 10 years, what we would do is put a switch in. And we would work with emergency management, whoever, that if we see something that's coming and we're going to have to be a shelter in place, we would have that 600 kilowatt generator brought in and hooked into that switching system. With that being said, then the entire school runs independent of any power. It'll run off the diesel. The next item that you have on there is the canopy, where you have the Ralph J. Bunch gym and the new gym. There's crosswalks. Right now, we've just got the crosswalks covered going from the 2 doors going into the Bunch gym. Originally, they had it was a whole line going back to the bus stop. But with that, this is a deduct that we'd like to potentially add back in of $230,000. The lighting for the baseball, softball fields, and then it would be about $100,000 for running, if we just wanted to run the conduit out there to the ball fields. You know, there are several lighting companies out there. Whenever universities replace their lights, there's nothing wrong with them, and they're still good. And they would still come with a warranty of 15 to 25 years, depending on who we work with. But that would also bring down the cost rather than putting in brand new lights there. You know, one of the things that was talked to me about, you know, having skin in the game, and I do agree, we got to have skin in this game. And you know, just I'll give you an example. You all were talking about infrastructure for broadband. When Rockingham County had the opportunity to do that, the school system took $100,000 out of our fund balance because we knew that the infrastructure was going to help our kids have contact. And we found out in COVID there were dead spots, probably much like y'all did. And the internet is almost like water. And we felt that strongly about it. You know, and that was money that we had saved back, and we made that decision. We've used money before to maybe, like if we were going to do a design fee, I would fully expect the board to have to take something from our fund balance to help pay for that. But with this being money that neither one of us knew about 3 months ago, that it's kind of a one-time thing to be able to really help the students and the town of Weldon. And I know that you all had approved 50% initially, but I just could not I had to come before you at least and give it a try. Because I do feel strongly about it. I do feel like that Weldon school, the high school being right off the highway, there are tournaments here. Y'all have the infrastructure for it. I know there's baseball, softball tournaments going on in Roanoke Rapids. This is another venue. And being a travel basketball dad, we play basketball everywhere. And they're using gyms and schools everywhere, and it makes an impact on the community. And so that's another reason that I'm here. But Mr. Chairman, I kind of rest my case and wait for questions.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. Shotwell, for your presentation. Questions, comments, commissioners?
I just have one comment. I am so pro public education that I could be out here politicking for it. But the last census showed that Weldon had 100 kids under age 19. How many students do we have
We have
in Weldon?
We have 700 students total.
Okay.
Now, what I would say to this, too, if we would get back a lot of our charter school students, you would start seeing us get back up to almost 1,000 students like we had right over a decade ago. I mean, what I would really love to have as a problem is that while we're building this school, that the kids start doing an influx. And we're going to say, well, what are we going to do with all of them? Are we going to, is this now going to be just a 9-12 building? You know, we've also done some investments with the middle school. As you know, there have been issues with the air conditioning down there. We had a company come in and they really overhauled the whole thing. And we've got a new chiller that's being installed, so we'll have 2 working chillers down there. We've not had a problem with air conditioning since we did that work this summer. We painted the entire interior of the school except for the classrooms. Those are coming in phases. It has to look nice. Whenever you all are bringing business leaders into this community and you want to take a tour of our schools have to look like we care. And that's how I felt about that school. We had a company come in too to make sure that our floors were as clean as they possibly could be, our carpets. We had a plumbing company come in because they told me that one of the bathrooms we couldn't use because it would stop up everything in the building. Well, it's not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And we're not having those times. I don't want to close school again like I did. Some of the kids thought when they smelled a little sewer the other day, somebody called the superintendent, maybe he'll cancel school. No, it does not work that way anymore. So, you know, we have invested probably close to $175,000 at that middle school preparing for the 2 schools to be joined together.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
It might be a pretty tough question, because Weldon has a history of not keeping its leadership. Okay? Especially superintendent. So I guess my question to you, how long do you anticipate being?
Well, right now, I'm there through the end of June of next year. There could be a possibility of extending it a few months. Like, rather than having another interim come in for October, November, and December, because I have to watch my cap for retirement, I took a reduced salary because I feel that committed about what we're doing at that school district. I did not need to leave for 6 weeks and then come back and try to fix things. It's really important we have that continuity. The other piece, just like I mentioned when I came before you all in September, it is the intent of the state board for me to also be involved with this building project to its fruition, even after my superintendency's done.
So what does that mean?
Everything that you're approving to get done at that school,
You oversee that?
yes, ma'am.
That's what that means.
I mean, the board ultimately will vote on the alternates, but but what we're presenting here and what you all are looking at are going to be the ones I'm going to bring back to them. And then once they do that, then that's going to be part of our contract with our general contractor, and we lock it in place, not to be changed. You know, we do have some money. I think there's about $250,000 in our contingency for site work. Everybody jokes at me when I say this, but when we take that school down, I need to make sure there's not a stack of lawnmowers, a 57 Chevrolet, and everything else, but the people used to do that for field. You know, and as long as there's no issues, then that's going to be able to recoup some money back to us as well. It'll also maybe speed up the anticipated opening date that they have for us right now. Our bids came in at 4.9 million over initially, and so we had to draw it back. But right now, we're at 58,000 under. I'm hoping that with no issues on the site prep, that we can get this thing up and going, and that we'll know something in either February or March, so that we can back it up from August the 26th to 1st of July or the end of June.
Right. You finished, Ms. Johnson? Okay.
Does your oversight include working with the board?
Yes.
It does.
Mhm.
So you give direction?
No.
Okay.
We have to work together. The way the arrangement's set up right now is that I'm an employee of the State Board of Education. And then, so my job is much like what Dr. Parks up in, Dr. Atkins up in Northampton. I work for the State Board. And so the Weldon City School Board can't appoint a superintendent to go in there. I have a feeling that when they find somebody who's going to take my place, it's going to be in conjunction with both the State Board of Education and the local board. And if I dare say, if it's anything like what they're doing in Northampton, that person will probably still end up potentially being an employee for the State Board for that check and balance.
Okay. Dr. Shotwell, you've done a great job, in my opinion, your short time here, and I appreciate all that you've been doing for the Weldon City Schools. You know, I've been involved over there a little bit, and I kind of know what you've been doing, and hiring personnel and doing a lot of other things. And this skin in the game is something that I have said a lot, and I'm sure that you've heard it from the staff here about, where's your skin in the game going to be. And I heard you mention $100,000 previously about some place that, you were at some school, and that's good. But to give you an example of what we mean by skin in the game, and I know this is different, but the Manning School in Roanoke Rapids, that was built on a different fund. So it's different than what we're talking about here. But it's the same skin in the game concept, kind of, in that, they write a check to us every year for $200,000. Every year. And this has been going on. How long has Manning School been up? Okay, it's been a long time. And And also Halifax County Schools, they took care of the demolition of Eastman School, which I don't know exactly how much that cost. It was about 300 something, but they're going to have even more skin in the game. So my point is, you got to have real skin in this game, And I guess my question to you, Dr. Shaw, no reflection on you. I think you are a great guy. I think you're a great superintendent. And I've heard good things about you from some of the members on the state board, and they just praise you to the highest. And so do I, and I've told them that. But I do want to know how you all going to have skin in the game. And, I would like to know that. And see, that was one of the reasons why we came up with this 50-50 split, so you all could have skin in the game. Now, the worst thing that could happen if we don't come to some type of agreement, and this is not going to happen, I'm pretty sure of that, but you know where the money's going to go. It's going to go back to the state. And the school system and the county both will lose. So, it behooves all of us that we got to work out something with this thing. And nobody can have it all their way.
Yes, sir. And listen, I certainly appreciate that. We're also in an era where we're able to build a $65 million school for a debt service of $3.1 million. That's just unheard of. I've built several schools in Rockingham County, and we did the COPS, certificate of participation. And they're just now, a school that we built in 2011 is going to be paid off in 2 more years. And I'm looking at what the income that's coming in, looking at the long-range plan, and your debt service for it. While it is very important, it's still not anywhere close to what it would have been if we'd done something with Weldon High School in 2018, or if we were trying to fund the school under traditional means right now. The thing about the sales tax refund is that it's something that you all, because I think the document spells it out pretty well, that it's an agreement
right
with both boards about how it's spent. It's just that there are several things that are on this list that are really kind of time sensitive. The generator, the lights, and terrazzo probably could wait about another month or 2, but the generator really is probably the biggest one that I have on there. And that's really not just for us, that's really for everybody, not only here, but also anybody who's coming from the coast to seek refuge here. I will abide with whatever decision that you all make, but I would like to ask if you would just at least consider the percentage and change it. And we'll keep you up to date that if we have savings on the project, like I was talking about with the site work, if the owner contingency is not being tapped into, I would want to come back to you all and say, so just for fun, let's say that y'all did give me the 85%. It's almost just a hair under a million. Well, we're not having to use all of that to do these projects, but I still have to come back to you and ask you for permission to be able to use that money for a different capital project. And it's money that you would not have to try to take from your annual budget or your fund balance, and it would be something that was set aside over there. Because if you do the split, I know that it'll be going to debt service and other things that won't necessarily be sitting there for future capital needs for the district. That's just economics. That's how we run government.
Okay. All thoughts from commissioners, county manager, you can chime in too if you would like. Attorney?
Let me just, so everyone can remember what we actually, when we did approve the 50-50 split on the agreement that we have in place, or had, that would be in place, it says that whatever the percentage is of sales and use tax refunds received by the county, whatever portion we are willing to allocate to Weldon City Schools would be irrevocably held, allocated, and reserved for use and benefit of the school board as additional capital outlay, and that it would require an approval of both this board and that board, like we do with lottery funds, as to how that money would be spent. So I take it for today, the request is that we consider a 10 to 15% share coming to the county with 85 to 90% going to this fund that would be held by the finance director. to be appropriated at some point in time after joint agreement. I think that's what's being requested
Yes, sir.
today. And I know we've got this list of things that would be, I'll call it a wish list. I don't mean to make light of it, because that's not what I intend. It's just an easy way to refer to it. That list is something we have to come back, really, for both boards to agree on how to use this money, this sales tax refund, against that list of things that are helpful.
Yes, sir. But what I need is to know kind of what the dollar figure is going to potentially look like, because there is a lot of lead time on several of these items.
Yeah, I did not that my math is good, as we all know now, but 85% of 1.2 million, I figure that at about $1,020,000, if I did the math right. She's looking at me.
That's close.
Okay, that's close.
I was thinking about something else. but, yeah.
I know. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify what the agreement actually, the wording is right now, as to how that refund might be used, and Rod keeps texting me, so.
Yeah, I'm here, I fell in love the first day I was here. Our kids are desperate, wanting to learn. And I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure that we have educators in the building.
Right.
They're going to be in that same mission. Because everything that we do should be around these kids. And I just, whatever your final decision is, I will abide by it. I appreciate it. I just appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come up here and speak on their behalf. Because I feel like that a lot of my children in this city district, they don't have the voice that they need to have. We have kids that need to, somebody's got to fight for them.
When will you need to know an answer, Dr. Shotwell?
Sir?
When will you need to hear from us on this?
I'd say at least within a month.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
All right.
If there's a chance of it changing, I'll wait a month.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shotwell.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. And you'll hear from us.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, let's see, anything on the other business? I know we got to go into closed session for at least one matter, maybe two. Let me say this, so is anything on the other business? If not, commissioners, do you all want to discuss his presentation now, or do you want to soak it in and look at Ms. Johnson and Ms. Brewer and Mr. Smith?
I'm uncomfortable with, discussing it because we're leaving, so the new commission probably come in and make a decision.
And I hear what he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
and I can say this publicly, I spent a lot of time growing up in Weldon. I think I have been told that's going to be the costliest school in the state of North Carolina per capita of any school that's under construction right now. And I want every child in this county to have a learning environment that is conducive to coming in and learning. But buildings do not educate children. Until we get some permanent employees, no amount of money is going to fix what's going on. I think that's what's tearing me, is knowing that the money is not in and of itself going to fix the issues. And of course, they're not our issues. We can't touch them. And I'm going to preaching again.
Well,
I
we
know the answer.
you know-
I really don't know the answer.
we can wait on the new commissioners, but the new commissioners, they're not going to be privy to what this board is privy to. I mean, and how you bring up the speed, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying that a decision such as this probably need to be made by this board instead of the new members. That's just my opinion, but.
Question.
The thing about it is, if we make the decision, it's something they gotta do.
You talking about the other board? That's true.
I guess my next question is a counter from us a possibility? I'm just asking.
A counter.
From the 10 to 15
I think you have
to
options.
25 to something.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
Thinking
I'm not
80-20.
advocating.
I was thinking
I'm not
80-20.
saying. I'm
Thinking
just
what?
asking.
80-20,
Oh,
Or 25-75.
yeah.
But the numbers that were quoted, is that actual ADM?
700.
If it is, it's grown from five something.
700.
It's grown if it has. But we talk about children, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but I don't even know, do they even have a baseball and a softball team over there? I'm not being
I don't know.
facetious, I'm asking because I don't know.
I don't know.
And
I know middle school does, I don't know about high school.
Okay, and I know when I worked for the county, mental health days, you always ask for more than you actually need, because you know you're not gonna get what you ask for. That's always the case. I'm not advocating in any direction, so before I would automatically jump on this, I would consider an account of some kind.
We can have options.
I mean, I just,
And Lynn,
I understand you.
Go ahead.
Right, say, just for number ease, for me to deal with numbers, if we went with a 75-25, we still, that 25% of that,
The
of the sales
25,
tax, we still, before any of that is spent, we still have to come together as a Board of Commissioners and a school
Not the
board
25.
not quite, and I want to be sure I'm clear.
Okay.
If we were going to propose a 75 to the school board, 25 to the county, the 25% of sales tax refunds would go directly to our general fund. Okay. The 75% that would be collected would go into a special fund held for capital outlay for Weldon City Schools. And before it could be appropriated or spent, it would require action by both boards, like what we do when we make a request for lottery funds. Both boards make a joint application for lottery funds, and we propose that both boards would have a co-approval of spending this sales tax revenue that was set aside for Weldon City Schools. Might be something on this list, might be something else entirely different that Weldon City Schools has a capital need for. But at this point, there's no action on this list that Dr. Shotwell presented. He just presented it to show the kinds of things where there are needs. But we're not being asked to make any decision about that list. We're just being asked to consider increasing how the share of the sales tax refund would be appropriated.
Glenn, in reference to what she asked you, I don't want to get too deep into this thing, but that 75%, does that have to be spent on the new school? Or?
No, sir, it doesn't. It would be for any capital outlay need that Weldon City Schools might have.
Okay.
But it would require action by both boards
Right.
to actually appropriate that money that's reserved for them for that, for some purpose, capital purpose.
Okay. All right. Good discussion, you all. Do you want to talk about it further? What is your pleasure? You want to do? You want to take action on it?
But were you privy to the conversation that the board had about the proposal?
You mean their board? I wasn't privy to that. I just know from talking with Mr. Malone that they had rejected that and requested that it be left to be determined at a later time, just to go ahead and get the agreement in place so we could rearrange the contracts, put the structure together that would be necessary for us to be able to make application, and leave it an open question about how the tax refund, whatever amount that might be, how that might be distributed at a later time.
Other than the list, did they
You could
have a
produce your
counter
capital.
proposal?
No, ma'am, other than just to say, let's discuss it later. There wasn't a counter proposal as far as actual numbers. This is the first counter proposal we've had, 10 to 15% to the county and 80 to 90% to the schools. This is the first counter proposal I've heard.
I think we need to hear from our county manager.
So this, of course, is ultimately your decision, what you'd like to do. And this, again, this agreement would have to be approved by both boards. But you do have some options if you want to think further out than this project and this pot of money. A couple things. First of all, they have $608,000 in lottery funds available now. That's through September, Mary? Through September. So they have over $600,000 available for now. You also have a school that's going to be vacated, the middle school. So that's something to consider, whether the county takes it. We can always use space to be selfish. We would obviously get the first right of refusal, whatever the current terminology
We have
is.
the right of first refusal, which means we have the right to make the first offer on the purchase of the property. Doesn't
What if-
mean we get it.
What if you, okay.
Yep.
I would think that's something to consider. And then you also have your annual capital appropriation in the budget, which doesn't require the Board of Education's approval. This is solely your decision because it's solely county money. So if that's something you want to consider reducing in some future years, that is an option that you would have. It's a little bit like Roanoke Rapids giving up $200,000 of their lottery every year. It's a little bit like that. Historically, we've done it based on ADM. We've had those conversations about whether or not we should or shouldn't. But that is solely your decision. So you could consider that as well. So I'm just putting out options. I see Glenn's
Yeah,
wheels turning.
Yeah, let me.
But this is the first time we're talking about this
It is.
too, based on what they're asking.
We do have in the agreement that we've been working from a provision that the intent of this agreement is to provide additional capital outlay resources and not to supplant annual capital outlay appropriations that would otherwise be made. So that's in this document now as drafted.
Could you change it?
We could certainly propose, you could certainly propose, if you wanted to propose a more advantageous distribution to the Weldon City Schools, we could propose that sentence be deleted. That could be part of the.
In layman's terms.
Okay, we'll say this also. This is their first counter. I would never sign anything, and nor would any of you all that says to be determined. I don't care what it is.
Now, you got a point about that, I agree with
No,
that.
but, and you guys are the attorneys here, but I'm going to school next week. But I wonder if we counter them. I mean, I just, this is hard on our last day.
It's not hard.
What, it is, okay. Make a proposal, Joe.
We presented the offer that we had the first time, and I'm gonna stay with what we presented.
Oh, okay.
They have plenty of money.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
I'm sticking with you then. I'm here. You got three over here.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Webb, is there a second? Second. Second by Ms. Johnson, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Clerk, unanimous. You can talk with Rob Malone, let him know.
And can I
please.
say one last thing, please?
Yes.
You may have half of a new board after tomorrow, too. You may be dealing with a different atmosphere
Right.
than you're dealing with today.
Well, I know we're on the rec and we're in open session, but God knows I hope so.
I'm looking down.
Anyway. All right, with that being said, let's see. Can I get a motion to go into closed session? I know we got a personnel matter to go in closed session about. Do we have anything else?
I have nothing. Kathy, you have nothing.
Okay, Mr. You don't have anything?
I do not.
All right, okay, can I get a motion to go in closed session for a personnel matter? Motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.